Chapter-741 block the pursuit. As a dense fog maker, Hotake Teishuo, who is in the thick fog, will not be affected. The moonlight shines into the canyon, and it is difficult for ordinary people to see the situation at a slightly distant location, but Hotake Teishuo is a cage-level strong. Naturally there is no such problem. Damn it! Hotake Teishuo scolded after seeing the Iwagakure scout squadron leave, turning into a shadow and running out. After a breath, Hotake Teishuo appeared behind an Iwagakure scout. The ninja was running up the rock wall. Hotake Teishuo slashed it out, and then without looking, stepping on the rock wall, he ran to the other side. An Iwagakure scout. No one is the enemy of Hotake Teishuo. Hotake Teishuo bounced back and forth in the valley, quickly reaping his life. After he killed more than a dozen people, the remaining dozen people, some of whom had rushed to the vertical idiots, reached the mountain on the side of the canyon, and jumped and moved among the steep rocks. These guys don't come to besiege me, they keep running. Could it be that they got a death order before? Hotake Teishuo raised his whole heart. If any fish slipped through the net and ran to report to Onoki, the action tonight would probably fall short. Kill 25 people in a row. There are 3 more. These Sanin are all Jonin, who have already rushed out of the canyon and ran all the way north. Hotake Teishuo chased him out of the valley. 2 minutes later, he caught up with one of them and killed him, but the other 2 were nowhere to be found. They knew that the strong man was chasing him, and they would definitely leave separately. Shuo pursued according to the traces. Even if he was lucky enough to catch up with one, he would not have time to catch up with the other. The desolate Gobi, the sand is full of wind, and the blood is scattered in the wind. Hotake Teishuo stabbed one by one, standing beside the headless corpse, blood dripping from the tip of the knife. Hotake Teishuo pondered for half a minute. Hotake Teishuo made a decision, no longer obsessed with chasing and killing a certain Iwagakure scout, but it was straight to where Lao Ai and Onoki fought. At his speed, he would definitely arrive there first, so that he would have the opportunity to kill again. 10 minutes later. It is another desolate Gobi, but it is not silent. Lao Ai is flashing with thunder, and savagely attacking Onoki, while Onoki resists Lao Ai with Doden Earth style. The current position has not been damaged. Onoki also has Jinten particle style, stunt. It's useless. The 2 powerhouses are fighting for life and death, and they will make a big move before they come up. Using Jinten particle style consumes a lot of chakra, so Onoki won't use it until you're not sure. Lao Ai also did not use the hell thrust known as the strongest spear. Over the years, Lao Ai and Onoki have played against each other many times, and almost every time they will fight for a day and a night, but this time, the 2 only played for dozens of minutes. The smoke and dust billowed, the roar was bursting, the moonlight was eclipsed by the thunder, and the mountains in the distance were not as spectacular as the rock spurs erupting from the cracked land nearby. 6 Iwagakure ninjas were scattered around the battlefield, forming a huge circle, watching the battle. They were all waiting for Onoki to hit Lao Ai hard, then Lao Ai would definitely retreat, so they could swarm up and kill Lao Ai. South of the Gobi battlefield, on a rocky mountain. Hotake Teishuo hid in the hollow of the rock Yamanaka, with his eyes closed, feeling the chakra fluctuations around him. As long as the 2 Iwagakure Jonin didn't walk around in a big circle and wanted to report to Onoki, they would definitely pass by nearby. Here, Hotake Teishuo suddenly opened his eyes, and then disappeared like the wind. He felt the breath of someone. The ground composed of sheets of rock is full of cracks. The smallest crack is tens of meters long and 1 or 2 meters wide. The largest crack is like a moat, several kilometers long and more than 10 meters wide at its widest point. Looking down at the crack, unfathomable, can be called abyss. Iwagakure Jonin was speeding through this area, but he saw him jumping over and over again, each time accurately jumping over the crack. The wind seemed to have suddenly picked up a lot. This Iwagakure Jonin jumped again, his body was in the air, and the abyss was below. Knife light flashes. Hotake Teishuo rushed out of the darkness and flashed in front of this Iwagakure Jonin. The shadow crossed the arc and landed on the rocky ground opposite the abyss. Iwagakure Jonin broke into two sections in the air, and the body fell into the abyss. Hatake Tai Shuo just turned around, but his spirit was shocked. Looking to the south, he felt the breath of another Iwagakure Jonin. Here he is. It's really good luck, Hatake Tai Shuo muttered and disappeared. Konoha Village, Rock Fortress Battleground. The huge Susanoo dashed left and right among the densely packed Iwagakure ninjas, waving the huge sickle frequently, trying to kill more Iwagakure ninjas. Around the rock fort, there are corpses everywhere, and blood is flowing everywhere, but there are still thousands of ninjas in Iwagakure, including 5 cage-level ninjas and more than 20 super elite Jonin. This is a very scary number. That's what Iwagakure is all about. Luhan has been fighting here for half an hour. Not counting the ninjas that Onoki still took away, at least 80% of the fighting power of Iwagakure village was used on him. During these half an hour, Luhan initially slaughtered the quartet, killing a lot of people, but now, he has been beaten, and even trying to kill some Chunin Jonin has become extremely difficult, because every time Susanoo swings the knife, we'll encounter a large group of Iwagakure ninja release Doden, Earth-style ninjutsu to resist. It is worth mentioning that Luhan's Susanoo has been broken 3 times since the battle, and nearly 50% of his chakra has been consumed. Luhan has never experienced such a fast and terrifying consumption in a battle. Hangguang, today is your day of death. Dian, the strongest in the room, shouted angrily, but saw his white hair fluttering in the wind, and his wrinkled face was full of sturdy colors. The 8th total attack. Hit. Doden, Earth-style, Earthquake Cone Art. Shake the mountain. The ground in front of the big rock cracked, and a large number of rocks flew into the sky, condensed into a huge rock cone with a length of 20 meters, and hit Susanoo. Wu-tailed Waho also launched a big move, fiercely attacking Susanoo, and a large number of Iwagakure ninjas near Luhan all attacked Susanoo with ninjutsu. 5 Rashomon. Luhan completed the hand seal instantly. Chapter-741-Cold Light is seriously injured. Then Susanoo burst out from the ground. There were 5 gates in total. At the first appearance, 3 gates were broken by a large number of ninjutsu attacks. The 4th gate persisted for a second and was broken, and the 5th gate was broken by Wu-tailed Waho with Shaking Mountain. Wu-tailed Waho seemed to have transformed into a wild beast. His whole body was burning with flames, and Yuhi's light shone. At the same time, the rocky ground under Luhan's feet exploded again, and a large number of rocks flew up and smashed into Luhan. There were also rock thorns attacking Susanoo's feet, and some Iwagakure ninjas abandoned the boulder and attacked Susanoo's waist and abdomen. From the sky, a 20-meter-long giant rock cone fell and bombarded Susanoo's head. Boom! Rumbling. Susanoo collapsed directly under various powerful attacks, and Luhan was exposed to overwhelming attacks because of Iwagakure's forbidden technique, which blocked the space in a small area, making it difficult for Luhan to use it immediately. Horaishin. Playing too big. I must not die. After Susanoo was shattered, Luhan immediately ran away, blasting thunderlight all over his body, pulled out the Sword of Shock, and a huge force erupted under his feet, and the whole person went straight to the sky like a cannonball. In fact, the sky is the most dangerous, because the giant rock cone did not collapse after breaking Susanoo, and was still attacking downward. The reason why Luhan chose to attack the top is because once he can break through from above, he can leave here more calmly. The S-level Doden, Earth-style, forbidden technique launched by Dian has the power to crack Susanoo. Even if this forbidden technique attacks Susanoo alone, it can pose a great threat, not to mention that the ninjutsu that just attacked Susanoo is overwhelming. At this moment, the giant rock cone still maintains at least 80% of its power. Only Lao Ai and Luhan can resist the attack, but he has no hesitation. Attack is the best defense. The Sky, and the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode was stimulated to ultimate, and the knife light was densely packed into hundreds of thousands in an instant, like a cloud of knives. It all sounds complicated, but it actually happened in a very short period of time. Boom _. Luhan collided with the giant rock cone, the rock cone collapsed from bottom to top, and the Raiden Thunder-style chakra mode on Luhan also became unstable. After 3 breaths, the sky-high Luhan went from bottom to top. The giant rock was completely shattered, and the exploded rock cone formed a cloud of dust and powder with a diameter of more than 100 meters, and Luhan rushed to the top of the dust cloud. Raiden Thunder-style chakra pattern on Luhan's body collapsed and disappeared. The black robe on his body also burst, and blood Yuhi appeared on the skin, dripping with blood. Seriously injured. Cold Light is injured. Quick. Above, do it. Dian and Wu-Wei Waho reacted the fastest. Dian flickered and disappeared to the ground. Wu-Wei Waho squatted down, and then rushed to the sky. The two appeared before and after Luhan almost at the same time. Dian handed the hand seal with one hand, and a huge rock fist appeared directly in his hand, smashing at Luhan, and Wu-Hu attacked Luhan's back. He. Luhan, who was dripping with blood, sneered. If there were no other Iwagakure ninjas to assist in the battle, these two would not be his opponents at all. Now that the other Iwagakure ninjas are below, they cannot immediately attack Luhan in the sky. The two even dared to take the initiative to rush up. Do you really think that Lao Su's injury is a soft persimmon? Call_. Luhan swirled in the air, and the blade light slashed in all directions. It looked like a rapidly spinning blade cloud. Wu-Hu's attack was resisted by Luhan's blade light, but had no effect, while Luhan was swirling. Dian, the knife is madly twisted. The reason why he chose to attack Dian is because this guy is easier to kill. Although his ultimate move is stronger than Waho, his defense is far worse. Boom. Dian's huge rock fist was directly smashed, and then, Luhan's knife light shrouded him, and he was shocked. He didn't expect that Luhan, who was seriously injured, would be so fierce. At a critical moment, the curse mark that appeared on Dian's body, followed by the rock armor covering his whole body. This is Dian's life-saving means, and it can be instant. The rock armor only lasted for a second after it appeared, and it was smashed by the knife rain, and Dian was covered in blood and retreated violently. Call. Huh. It took only a few seconds for Luhan to attack Dian in the sky. After Dian retreated, more than a dozen figures appeared around Luhan. All of them were strong Iwagakure, either super elite or shadows. Luhan immediately retracted his sword. His figure was illusory for a moment, and he moved more than 100 meters in the air. Then he broke away from the restriction placed by the strong Iwagakure on the ground below, and sensed Hiraishin Kanai in the battlefield of the round Jinchuriki column tower. Ha, you Iwagakure's treasure house, my cold light has robbed me. Ha, a bunch of trash. Luhan laughed wildly and disappeared out of thin air. Gone. The battlefield of the rock fortress was still in chaos. Many ninjas were looking for them. While observing the surroundings, some ninjas with master secret techniques were sensing the surroundings, but Luhan really left and was far away from the battlefield. Naturally, they couldn't feel it. Lord Yan, the wu-tailed Waho ran back and forth for a while, then rushed to the crowd to gather, forcing the Iwagakure ninjas who were watching, and rushed into the middle of the crowd. The elderly Oiwa was slumped on the ground, and he was healed by the Iwagakure medical ninja. He didn't die under Luhan's knife, because the situation was too urgent, and Luhan couldn't pursue him further, but he was still seriously injured, with a huge wound torn on his abdomen, one ear missing, his waist, under the ribs, on the arms, on the legs, there were knife cuts everywhere. The medical ninja was healing him, and when Dian saw Waho coming over, he immediately said excitedly, "Don't let Hengguang rob the treasure house. Stop him, you must stop him. Then send someone to inform Onoki, let him come back, let him come back." I understand. Wu-Hu held Dian's hand and nodded, his eyes bloodshot. Jinchuriki column tower. Luhan immediately fled into the darkness and went straight to the tallest building nearby. The final step of his plan. Once Luhan expresses his intention to rob the treasure house, after the chaos of Iwagakure, there will be more people to guard the real treasure house. Luhan would like to see, at this time, which place is still being taken care of, and where is the real treasure house? Chapter 0743 _ The treasure trove is here. Round Jinchuriki Column Tower, there is a 17-story stone building. This is the office of the administrative department of Iwagakure village. After the chaos in Iwagakure, all the Iwagakure ninjas who were on standby basically rushed to various battlefields. In the later stage, most of the Iwagakure ninjas went to fight Luhan. Therefore, there are very few Iwagakure ninjas stationed in the Iwagakure administrative tower at this time, not even 10. Luhan didn't kill anyone, but quietly appeared on the top floor of the tower, using the technique of concealment to melt himself into the darkness, standing by the window and looking in the direction of the rock fortress. Populated Yuhi names everywhere, Luhan watched with his eyes, and sometimes turned his attention to the insight map. He wanted to see what Iwagakure would do next. After all, for them, Hongguang is not dead, but Hongguang has a history of robbing the treasure house, and Kurigakure has been robbed. Luhan's plan was not profound, but it was extremely dangerous. According to Luhan's arrangement, apart from Lao Ai keeping Onoki in check and Hataki Tai Shuo robbing and killing the reporting ninja, the remaining 10 people will attack 4 suspect locations at the same time. There are 2 benefits to doing this. First, all 4 suspected locations were attacked, so that Iwagakure could see which location Iwagakure cared more about, but the plan did not change quickly, because the 2 Iwagakure super elites died too fast, causing Luhan's arrangement to be disrupted. Follow-up analysis of a little arrangement is also scrapped. Second, if one of the 4 suspected locations is a real treasure house, then there must be strong guards in the treasure house. Luhan has an insight map. He can analyze it through the insight map, where suddenly there are a few more masters, chasing teammate Lan. Unfortunately, Luhan didn't find anything. It seems that no strong man has suddenly appeared from any suspected location, and they have all moved from all over the village of Iwagakure. It's very strange. Is there no strong guard in the Iwagakure treasury? It's possible. Because there are too many strong men of the older generation. Since I started fighting Iwagakure, there have been a few, and after the 4 suspected locations were attacked, another batch appeared. Luhan was not entirely sure. But then again, none of the above matters. The most important thing is that Luhan and others have disabled the defense arrangements of the 4 suspect locations. This is the fundamental purpose of Luhan's arrangement of the attack. Defense arrangements of the 4 locations were all crippled, and while Iwagakure was chasing Luhan and others, he had to make new arrangements. Luhan wanted to find the treasure house through their new arrangement. The rock fortress battlefield, thousands of Yuhi started to move. A large number of Yuhi went to reinforce the round Jinchuriki column tower battlefield, and some were extremely scattered and seemed to be searching. Some were in groups, going to garrison somewhere, and also a small group of Iwagakure ninjas went straight to the north of the village, seemingly to leave the village of Iwagakure, to inform Onoki. Luhan's time is running out, because a large number of Iwagakure ninjas will arrive soon in the round Jinchuriki column tower battlefield. Might Dai, Kani, Loka and other 6 people will be in danger, and Luhan must go to meet them. Round Jinchuriki column tower battlefield was initially attacked by 3 people including Kani, then Might Dai and 3 went to reinforce, Lurka went to reinforce, a total of 7 people, and then a blue dot disappeared. Yes, another dead. Luhan wasn't sure which one died, but it couldn't be the 3 big shadows. As time passed by, Luhan also became anxious. Although Iwagakure has begun to rearrange, Luhan has not yet seen where the treasure trove is. Luhan was suddenly shocked because he saw a very strange situation. 5-tailed Waho actually released the tailed beast state. This is unreasonable. The battle is not over. The cold light is likely to make a comeback, or make a sneak attack, and if he removes the tailed beast state, the speed and strength will be greatly weakened, and the body defense will be greatly weakened. The force is equal to direct emptying, which is inconvenient for him to support the round Jinchuriki column tower battlefield. Isn't he in a hurry to help? Isn't he afraid of cold light sneak attack? Moreover, Waho disappeared immediately after the tailed beast was released. If Lu Han could not see his name suddenly appear in the dark alley, it would be impossible to know where he went. This guy is sneaking around in Iwagakure village, on his own site. Lu Han squinted and thought for a while, then disappeared by the window. He has to follow Iwagakure Anbu Captain Uho. Because this guy is not a big Yuhi, his strength is a little worse than Dion. Although Dion's actual combat power is not as good as Waho because of his injuries, his rating is still the same as before, so it is difficult for Lu Han to use the insight map to determine his position. Go up. While tracking Waho, Lu Han did not forget to pay attention to the situation on the map. Once there was a danger in the battlefield of the round Jinchuiki column tower, he had to go back immediately. You can't ruin Might Dai and others here for the Iwagakure treasure house, it's not worth it. Waho ran wildly in the dark alley while making a strange whistle. After he crossed 2 alleys and entered a back street, more than 20 Iwagakure Anbu ninjas appeared next to him in less than a minute. This way, Woohoo subconsciously lowered his voice, gave an order to the gathered Anbu ninjas, and then dispersed with the Anbu ninjas at the same time. After 2 minutes, the Shuangjianshan battlefield is the suspected location that Might Dai led people to fight at first. Lu Han came here for the first time to provide support. After that, Lu Han, Might Dai and others all left, and because Lu Han took the initiative to reveal his identity, it attracted many people. For some Iwagakure ninjas, there are only a dozen ninjas led by Lao Zi. Waho appeared out of thin air in front of the stone gate of the cave, and Lao Zi immediately appeared beside Waho. 2 people, Jinchuriki column, said something in a low voice, and Woohoo pushed open the stone door and ducked in, while Lao Zi didn't go in. After closing the stone door, he turned around and looked around, then disappeared and hid nearby. Dark place. They didn't know that the whole process of the 2 joining and then separating was watched by Lu Han, who had followed him all the way in the dark. Lao Zi didn't even participate in the war after that, he's been here all the time. Lu Han's eyes lit up. No more guessing. It can be said to be conclusive evidence. Here is the treasure house. Must be here. Chapter 0744_support clearance. Lu Han suddenly figured out one thing. Is the Iwagakure treasure house really not guarded by strong people all year round? Not really. Lao Zi is the strong one. He is a 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force, but he does not have the power of a master-tailed beast, so he cannot transform into a beast. If defeated and killed, Iwagakure's losses will be huge. Therefore, in the past few years, Lao Zi has hardly participated in the Ninja World War. He has never been on the front lines. Going to Konoha village once was also the role of the messenger. If it weren't for various reasons, Lao Zi's mission would not have been a little dangerous. Such a cage-level powerhouse, but he can't be used on the front line, can't let him perform dangerous war missions, it can be said to be a waste, so it's more appropriate to let him guard the treasure house. In addition to Lao Zi, there is another Iwagakure strongman who has crossed the threshold of cage level, as well as a number of ultra-elite strongmen. Because of this configuration, Lao Zi and other talents resisted the explosive Might Dai. Which is also in line with the characteristics that the treasure house needs to be guarded by many strong people together. Of course, the most important thing is that Waho came here with strange behavior, only to let Lu Han confirm that this is the treasure house. In the darkness, the corners of Lu Han's mouth evoked a gloomy arc. Wangtian did not take pains. For today's action, Kumogakure has already damaged 3 strong men, and Lu Han was also seriously injured. It is time to harvest. Lu Han took one last look at Shimon and then disappeared. Round Jinchuriki column tower is in ruins. The tower has disappeared. This is not like a rock fortress battlefield. The rock fortress there is in the shape of a tortoise shell, and its defense is extremely amazing. Even if it is affected by the battle, it will not be completely destroyed. The spread will collapse. 2 Kumogakure shadow ninjas, Kanye and Loka fought side by side, and behind them, Might Dai and 3 Kumogakure super elites. Might Dai's injuries were not minor, but not life-threatening. Might Dai in this world is very different from the Might Dai in the original book. The Might Dai in the original book has not been specially trained, so the 8 inner gates are not used. The strength is very poor, but the Might Dai in this world, Lu Han knows his situation. When Lu Han was in charge of Anbu, he unconditionally opened up a lot of resources to Might Dai, giving him a lot of training time. This leads to the fact that Might Dai, who is not in the state of the 8 inner gates, also has the strength of a general Jonin, pure physique Jonin. However, even the strength of Jonin is still a huge gap compared to Yi Kan and others. In this chaotic situation, even the super elite will die, not to mention him. The reason why he is still alive is because Yi Kan waiting for someone to protect him. This is the agreement reached between Lu Han and Lao Ai. Because Lu Han came to do the most dangerous thing, and Lu Han might even die in battle. Lao Ai was just keeping Onoki in check. He really wanted to run away. Lu Han was needed to find the treasure house, and Lu Han was needed to take away the treasures in the treasure house. Ability. Lu Han paid too much. His life was worth more than other Kumogakure powerhouses except Lao Ai. Of course he can make conditions. I also agreed. Therefore, Might Dai will be protected after entering a weak state, which is the order given by Lao Ai and Lu Han after reaching an agreement. The fact is that even without Lao Ai's order, several Kumogakure strongmen are willing to protect Might Dai. On the one hand, Might Dai is too powerful to burst out, which makes them admire. On the other hand, Might Dai does not only burst once. After each outbreak of Might Dai, Chakra's state disappears after bottoming out and needs to be protected, but he only needs to be protected for a period of time and Chakra recovers, and he can enter the 7-door state again. Although he will enter the 7-door state afterward. The state cannot be maintained for too long, even less than a minute, but even half a minute is enough for Might Dai to solve a lot of trouble. Might Dai is like a war machine that can be used intermittently. Connie and others protecting him are equivalent to accumulating big moves. And now, right now, Might Dai became extremely important to them. Because they were already surrounded, but they couldn't break out. The battlefield that has been turned into ruins, more and more Iwagakure ninjas come to join the siege of Connie and others. The pressure on Connie and others is getting bigger and bigger. Like a boat in the raging sea, it may capsize at any time. Want to break through, but very difficult. I'm coming. Might Dai, who was protected in the middle of the crowd, suddenly shouted, and the air burst out of his body. Connie stepped aside immediately, and Might Dai, who had entered the 7-door state, stormed out, almost pushing forward, trying to break the encirclement, while Connie and others followed behind Might Dai. More than 20 seconds later, Might Dai had already led people to the edge of the encirclement, but the aura of the whole person quickly weakened, and the 8 inner gates dispersed. Almost rushed out. Connie immediately flashed in front of Might Dai, his whole body shone with lightning, and his heavy punches shattered the flying boulder. Lu Han appeared on the ruins on the edge of the battlefield, his eyes quickly glanced at the situation, and then his hands together, the light shot into the sky and condensed. Susano. Leave here, leave it to me. Lu Han roared, waving a huge sickle. Kanyi and the others looked overjoyed, because Iwagakure ninjas were attracted by Lu Han, and their pressure suddenly eased. Ikan Garoka's 2 shadow ninjas were at the forefront, leading people to break through. With less pressure, they were hardly blocked effectively, leaving the battlefield directly, escaping into the darkness and leaving quickly. Just as Yi Kan and others left, hundreds of Iwagakure ninjas poured into the other direction of the battlefield. Lu Han has the technique of Hiraishin, he can move freely, and he can go back and forth between the major target battlefields without taking a second. He spent a few minutes tracking Waho before, and during these few minutes, the Iwagakure ninjas on the Rock Fortress battlefield were all on the way to support. Only the fast ones arrived here first, and the follow-up large forces were only now arriving. Lu Han saw that Might Dai, Yi Kan and others were out of danger. He stopped fighting, released Susano, and disappeared. Yi Kan and the other 6 were moving at high speed in the dark. Lu Han found them with his insight on the map and caught up with them from behind. Follow me, Lu Han shouted, grabbed Might Dai who was running slowly, and led the way to the front. Chapter 0745 Importance of Leaders. North of Iwagakure village, more than 30 kilometers away. Doden, Earth Style. Just before Iwagakure Jonin completed the hand seal, the knife light slashed in front of him, his head flew up, and he fell to the ground softly. Hatake Taishuo threw off the blood on Kurigakure's blade, panted and looked to the southwest, then turned into a shadow and headed straight for that direction. It has been an hour and a half, and Hatake Taishuo has successfully intercepted 4 batches of Iwagakure ninjas who want to report to Onoki. He's been running back and forth. This is the 5th batch of scouts who want to report to Onoki. Hatake Taishuo already has the feeling that he can't stop them. It's not because of how strong these scouts are. There are still most of them in Chunin. He can kill them casually, mainly because... Hatake Taishuo killed several groups of people before, and the bodies were too late to clean up. These corpses will always remind later Iwagakure scouts that they are being robbed. As a result, the more Iwagakure scouts came later, the more careful they were and the more complicated the route they took. Hatake Taishuo could no longer wait for the rabbits. When the Iwagakure scouts arrived, he had to take the initiative to look for them. Gobi Battlefield. Onoki is still on a par with Lao Ai. It seems that the fight is very intense. In fact, this is just the beginning. In just over an hour, the two have not found a breakthrough point to defeat the other party. Hitting. Boom. A roar suddenly sounded about a kilometer south of the battlefield. Although the sound was not loud enough to reach the battlefield, and it was the same as the battle between Lao Ai and Onoki, it was still heard by several Iwagakure ninjas watching. The Iwagakure super elite Jonin named Bai Chao looked back, frowned, glanced in Onoki's direction again, and gestured twice to the nearby companions before running towards the south. 1 kilometer to the south, under a low mountain. Ground crumbled. It was traces of Doden Earth-style ninjutsu, and there was blood and some blood, but no body was visible. Bai Chao came over and scanned the scene, his face changed and changed. Just now, someone died here, but the murderer had already left and took away the body of the deceased. Over there, Bai Chao suddenly raised her head again, looking to the southwest, where there were chakra fluctuations. Disappearing suddenly, Bai Chao used the Doden Earth-style blinking technique to move to the other side. The distance was very close, only a few hundred meters. Bai Chao took out the mountain. Hatake Taishuo had already killed 2 Iwagakure scouts, but there was still a third person. He really couldn't stop him, but he still tried his best. 4. Death. Hatake Taishuo rushed to the third person and slashed with a knife. Iwagakure was attacked. Cold Light, the Iwagakure scout gave a mournful reminder before he died, and he was cut off before he finished speaking. Bai Chao appeared 100 meters behind, looked at Hatake Taishuo, and heard Iwagakure when the scout died. His face changed dramatically. A cold light flashed in Hatake Taishuo's eyes, and he suddenly burst out, attacking Bai Chao. But Bai Chao is not an ordinary ninja either. He has the name of a strong man. Although he is not the opponent of Hatake Taishuo, he cannot be killed immediately. Bai Chao fled away, and soon returned to the outermost periphery of the Gobi battlefield. Lord Tsuchikage, Iwagakure was attacked. Cold Light. He didn't speculate on what the Iwagakure scout had said before he died, but recited it, and let Onoki analyze it himself, so that there would be no wrong transmission. What? Onoki, who was battling with Lao Ai, showed an unbelievable expression, and then he burst into anger and became crazy. You fucking deliberately lure me out. Cold Light is coming. You guys are calculating me. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Lao Ai laughed wildly without answering Onoki. Damn it. Onoki retreated, about to rush back to Iwagakure village. Old Ai immediately caught up, intending to entangle Onoki. Come on together. Quick. Onoki yelled angrily. The 6 Iwagakure powerhouses around got the order, and at the same time, they started to attack Lao Ai. Hatake Taishuo watched from a distance, seeing that Onoki already knew the situation, and did not go to help Lao Ai, he just retreated. Go to Iwagakure village. The order that Lu Han gave at the beginning was that once Iwagakure successfully reported the situation to Onoki, he could go directly to Iwagakure and join the battle in Iwagakure village. Old Ai will never have a problem. Even if he is at a disadvantage in the face of the siege, he will not easily die in battle. At his speed, he really wants to leave. Hataki Tai Shuo goes up and mixes up, but it is not good. Not only can he not be of great help to Lao Ai, but he will fall into extreme danger. In this situation. The village of Iwagakure was full of people, shouting. Lu Han has not yet launched an attack on the treasure house, but has been running with others, finding the best escape route through the insight map, but does not leave the Iwagakure village, but is in the Kabuto circle in the Iwagakure village. He needs to lead the Iwagakure village large troops. Going to a slightly farther position, let Kan Yi, Might Dai and others take the initiative to show up, forming a certain containment. In this way, Lu Han would have enough time to rob the treasure house. At present, there are still active Iwagakure ninjas in Iwagakure village. They are roughly divided into several groups in action. One group is guarding several important locations in Iwagakure village, one group is responsible for searching, and the other group is mobile troops. This group has the largest number of people. There are thousands of them, and there are many strong people. They dare not separate, for fear of being defeated by Lu Han. Onoki has not returned to preside over the overall situation, and Oiwa also disappeared from the map. He should have been hiding somewhere to heal his injuries. The current Iwagakure village lacks effective commanders and people who can make decisions, so the layout is not appropriate. That's the importance of a village leader, and it's not just about strength. Example, if Onoki is in the village of Iwagakure, he can completely decide to abandon a few important locations and mobilize more troops to join the search, or he can gather most of his troops outside the treasure house and not give Lu Han any chance to rob the treasure house. If you give up, you will gain, and if you give up some, you can hold on to something better. However, no one in Iwagakure except Onoki dared to make such a decision. It can be said that as long as Onoki comes back, it will be several times more difficult for Lu Han to rob the treasure house. In the north of Iwagakure village, in a mansion, Lu Han appeared out of thin air with people, pointed to the main building in the mansion and said, "Smash." Led them here. As soon as the voice fell, Lu Han disappeared in place. Time to get started. Chapter 0746-Asphyxia. After Lu Han left, Kanyi and others all entered Raiden, Thunder-style, chakra mode and completely destroyed the main building. Might Dai, who had recovered slightly, did not move and was still resting. He wants to shoot at the most critical moment. The main building collapsed and roared, which immediately attracted the Iwagakure ninjas who were searching nearby. The shouts sounded one after another, and the news was passed quickly, and a large number of Iwagakure ninjas rushed to the courtyard where Kanyi and others were. This courtyard is located in the north of Iwagakure village. After a large number of Iwagakure ninjas arrive here, Lu Han will attack the treasure house with thunder. It might take a few minutes. All Lu Han wanted was these few minutes. Don't ask for murder, just for money. Therefore, Lu Han intends that after entering the Iwagakure treasury, no matter how many enemies there are in it, he will not love to fight. Even if he bears their attacks, Lu Han will take the treasure first, and then leave after taking it. Don't try to rob the treasure house in this way, but Lu Han can. Because he has room for a backpack. Lu Han wanted to get out of the treasure house and escape before most of the Iwagakure ninjas rushed outside. Absolutely cannot be blocked. That's it. In Kurigakure, Lu Han was blocked, but what was the quality of those Kurigakure ninjas? It's just a lot of numbers. The average strength is not high, and Iwagakure is different. The number is not as much as the original Kurigakure, but the quality is scary. Under Shuangjian Mountain, because the previous battle has been reduced to ruins, there is not much shelter. Lu Han hides in a low stone house 200 meters away, sometimes looking at the insight map, sometimes looking out. At present, there are about 200 Iwagakure ninjas outside Shuangjian Mountain, including Laozi and other strong ones, and many are Iwagakure Anbu ninjas. They are all hidden, so not much can be seen directly with the naked eye. If Lu Han didn't have insight into the map, it would be hard to tell that there were a lot of masters ambushed here. Of Iwagakure village, the insight map shows that more than 100 Iwagakure ninjas have arrived at the compound, and at least 1,000 Yuhi points are moving there. Wait a minute. Lu Han determined that the pressure on Kanyi and others was already very high through the insight map, so he turned his eyes to the outside again, staring at the Shimen under the Shuangjian Mountain, and a violent airflow suddenly erupted from his body. Raiden Thunder Style Chakra Mode. Lu Han directly exposed himself, which made Laozi, who was hidden in the dark, suddenly change color. Boom! The berserk Lu Han rushed out of the low stone house, went straight to the stone gate of the cave, and shouted at the same time, "Hangguang is here. Those who block me die." With the blessing of chakra, Lu Han's voice was like thunder deafening, it spread throughout the entire Iwagakure village. But I saw the blue thunder flashing quickly, directly smashing the stone door and entering the passage. A second later, Laozi appeared outside the broken stone gate, and then a large number of Iwagakure ninjas appeared, gathered together, and blocked the entrance of the hole. There is an Iwagakure super elite Jonin who wants to rush into the cave, but is stopped by Laozi. "You don't need to go in," Laozi coldly shouted. Listening to his tone, he didn't want someone to go in and stop the cold light. A pair of puzzled eyes turned to Laozi. Why didn't they go in? Is it to be arranged outside, and then besiege him when the cold light comes out? This is also a correct tactic, but you must know that the five-tailed Jinchuriki, column Li Wuhou, is still inside, and he will be killed by Han Guang. The space inside is limited. If we go in, even if we can join forces to kill Han Guang, many people will be killed by Han Guang, and the casualties will be heavy. Laozi narrowed his eyes and said, "Also, I have discussed with Lord Wuhou, he will not let us anyone who goes in, he has a way to kill Han Guang." Quote. Laozi said that, he showed a cold smile. It was all Jinchuriki column power. He usually had a lot of contact with Wuhou. He already knew what method Wuhou was going to use to kill Han Guang. "Destroy the entrance of the cave and use ninjutsu," Laozi ordered, and immediately responded first. Doden Earth Style Rock Burst. Doden Earth Style Boom Kiba Technique. Doden Earth Style. The Iwagakure ninjas launched Doden Earth Style attacks successively. The entrance of the cave and the passage inside collapsed, and the outer opening near the treasury was completely sealed. Now not only people outside can't enter the treasure house, but people inside can't get out. In the dark passage, Lu Han turned into blue lightning. In a very short time, he passed through the long passage and entered the belly of the mountain. After turning twice, he broke through a stone gate again. Lu Han's eyes suddenly lit up. This is a huge cave hall in the belly of the mountain. It is a square, with torches hanging on the stone walls all around, and a large number of boxes are piled up in the four corners of the hall. This is the treasure house, and those boxes contain Iwagakure's family property. Standing alone in the middle of the hall, Wu Hu had already entered the state of a tailed beast, and looked at Lu Han, who rushed in without fear. "Just you." Lu Han was very surprised. Wu Hu was really the only one, and the insight map didn't show the second Yuhi's name. "It's enough to kill you." Wu Hu smiled, coldly. "Idiot." Lu Han didn't know where Wu Hu's confidence came from, and regardless of him, he went straight to the pile of boxes. Wu Hu did not stop Lu Han, but performed ninjutsu twice in a row, but neither attacked Lu Han. The first ninjutsu, Doden Earth Style, attacked ninjutsu, and directly collapsed the entrance of the main hall, knocking the main hall down. Completely blocked. The second ninjutsu, Kaden Fire Style ninjutsu. This guy actually knows Kaden Fire Style. The raging fire spread in the hall. After about 5 or 6 seconds, the flame quickly shrank and went out. The torches on the surrounding stone walls also went out at the same time. Lu Han suddenly felt suffocated. The oxygen in the mountainside was all consumed by the just burning ninjutsu flames. Lu Han, who had already put all the boxes in one corner into the space backpack, was about to collect the other corner, looked back at Waho. Woohoo also looked at Lu Han and said with a grin, "Does it feel good?" This is how Waho killed Lu Han, suffocation. No matter how strong you are, if you can't breathe, you will die. Woohoo is not afraid of suffocation, because he masters a secret technique that can make him not breathe for a long time. Lu Han looked at Waho with a strange expression. He really wanted to say something to Waho. "Don't you know that I can stop breathing?" Chapter 0747 Tailed Beast Bomb. North of Iwagakure village. And others, who were under great pressure, were already stretched thin and in danger. More and more Iwagakure ninjas joined the battle, and the group released ninjutsu. Lu Han's violent drink resounded through Iwagakure, and many Iwagakure strongmen were besieging them. All faces changed, and then they all gave up the battle here and ordered to bring people to support Shuangjian Mountain. In Iwagakure village, anyone with a cage-level strength must know the location of the treasure house, and the super elite ninja, as long as they have enough identities, naturally also know. Lu Han's voice came from there. Killing a few enemies means little to them, but if the treasure house is robbed, the foundation of Iwagakure village will be shaken. With the withdrawal of a large number of Iwagakure ninjas, the pressure on Connie and others suddenly eased, and Might Dai, who had been protected all the time, also knew that the time had come, and the air flowed all over his body, entering the seven-door state again, and leading people to break through. Chaos suddenly appeared outside the encirclement. However, I saw a young ninja with a sickle rushing towards him. As soon as he appeared, he slashed and killed more than 10 Iwagakure ninjas in a row. It was Hatake Taishuo, and he rushed back. As soon as he entered Iwagakure village, he knew where the battle was taking place, and then he rushed over all the way. With his level 60 white silver boss strength, there were really few people in Iwagakure village who were his opponents. Hatake Taishuo went all the way to the center of the encirclement, joined with Might Dai and others, and then fought side by side with Might Dai, leading people to break out again. Lord Hengguang's order: once you break through, leave Iwagakure village immediately. Might Dai said in a low voice. Their task has been completed, it is enough to break through and walk away, and leave the rest to Lu Han. In the Iwagakure treasury, Lu Han can no longer breathe. It does not mean that there is no gas in the treasury, but that the air lacks the oxygen that humans need. In this case, the human body lacks nourishment, and it will take a minute or so to go into shock. It is to pass out, and then it is the real death. Of course, this refers to normal humans. Lu Han is not a normal person. He is a subversive. Even if a knife pierces his heart and drains his whole body of blood, he will not die, not to mention the difficulty of breathing, suffocation. It is a kind of harm to Lu Han, and it will come to him. It is said that the intuitive manifestation of damage is blood loss. But this damage is too light. Lu Han loses 1% of his HP in 1 minute, but with his current physical condition, he can recover at least 2%, or even 3% in 1 minute. That is to say, his body's self-healing ability will offset the damage caused by suffocation. His health will never drop below 99%, it will just jump back and forth between 99% and 100%. Wu Hu didn't know all this. He still looked at Lu Han with a look of, "I didn't expect it, I would kill you like this." Does it hurt? Do you feel like you're going to die? Your head is already drowsy, right? Can you still hand seal? Wu Hu asked in a weird tone. What if you were Konoha Hengguang? You're still going to die. You're human, but God. People in this world who cannot breathe can be said to be extremely rare. Masters who cannot breathe for a long time are even rarer. Many strong ninjas are buried alive in battle. The real cause of their death is not being crushed to death or being crushed to death, but was suffocated alive. Waho is not only the five-tailed Jinchuriki column force, but also the captain of Iwagakure Anbu. He likes to perform tasks in a closed environment. Over the years, he has killed hundreds of ninjas by suffocation. Wuhu's most brilliant record was in the Battle of the Land of Rain a few years ago. At that time, Iwagakure and Omegakure were enemies. During a mission, Wuhu trapped more than 20 Omegakure Enbu ninjas in an abandoned mine. At that time, he destroyed all the entrances and exits of the largest cave in the mine, killing more than 20 people. Trapped in it, the ninja releases Kaiden, fire style, to run out of oxygen. Omegakure Enbu ninjas who would pose a great threat to Wuhu when they joined forces, all died. Live suffocation. Have you ever considered, even if you kill me, how will you get out of here? Lu Han asked suddenly, his voice very calm. Tailed beast bomb is enough to break the mountain directly. Wuhu looked at Lu Han coldly. Very frankly, didn't you find out? I haven't used tailed beast bomb before, because I can only use it once. If I use it, tailed beast bomb attacked you, didn't necessarily kill you, and now, ha ha ha. Then have you considered another question? Some boxes have already been taken into different dimensions by me. If I die, those things will disappear. Lu Han said again. Wuhu's face changed. He neglected. All he wanted was that if Lu Han died, the things in the treasury would not be taken away. Ha ha ha, idiot, even if I die, I will be buried with the Iwagakure treasure house. Lu Han laughed wildly, instantly turned into a thunderbolt, rushed to the other corner, and waved his hand to collect the box. Damn you, you bastard. Wuhu was extremely frightened. He shouted and turned into a shadow and rushed behind Lu Han, punching out at the same time. Ha 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 ha, you can't catch me. Lu Han disappeared directly in front of Wuhu, appeared in the distance, and then threw hundreds of Hiraishin kunai in all directions. Although Lu Han was not affected by the suffocation, he didn't want to fight Wuhu, the time was too tight. With his strength, it is very difficult to kill the five-tailed crow of the level 60 gold boss in a few minutes. But Lu Han still didn't give up calculating Wuhu. If there is a chance, he will definitely let Wuhu die here and take away the five tails. Wuhu chased Lu Han frantically, but after Lu Han threw out Hiraishin, he could move at will. Wuhu could not catch up, and every time Lu Han appeared, he would take away some boxes before disappearing. The chests in the treasury are rapidly decreasing. Wuhu was already going crazy. He thought he could perfectly defend the treasure house, but now, even if Han Guang was killed, Iwagakure would have to suffer huge losses. Damn! Wuhu shouted angrily, but stopped chasing Lu Han. Instead, his whole body was full of yuhi. With his hands forward, a yuhi point appeared in front of him. The yuhi point quickly became bigger than Rasengan's. Also scored a few points, showing a black yuhi color. Tailed Beast Bomb. Chapter-741-landslide. Lu Han was shocked. In a space that is not open enough in the belly of the mountain, once the tailed beast bomb erupted, it would be enough to sweep the entire treasure trove. Lu Han had a hard time using Susanoo here, and Rashomon would also be restricted due to its height. The only thing Lu Han can use with all his strength is the Raiden Thunder style chakra mode. It can be said that it is very dangerous. The five-tailed crow is already crazy. He no longer cares how weak he will be after releasing Tailed Beast Bomb, he just wants to kill Lu Han. Ha 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 ha. Lu Han had an idea, and then laughed wildly. Come on, come on. It happens that this mountain is trapped, you break this mountain, and I can go out. Ha 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 ha. Wuhu was mentally shocked. What he thought before was that even if Lu Han could hold on under the condition of suffocation, his strength would definitely regress a lot, and the dizzy one would definitely be killed by Tailed Beast Bomb. Take half away, but there is still half left, you can stop loss. But after Lu Han's kind reminder, Wuhu understood, what if he didn't kill Han Guang? The mountain is broken, Han Guang is not dead, he is weak, Han Guang can take away everything in the treasure house and run away. Then you will die here. Let's die here together. Wuhu made a decision, let out a sharp scream. His aura reached ultimate, the five-tailed phantom shrouded him. Wuhu pushed forward with both hands, and the five-tailed opened his mouth to spit out. Tailed Beast Bomb shot out immediately. The terrifying black yuhi energy ball blasted into the middle of the treasure house cave, but suddenly turned and went straight to the ground. Boom underscore. At this moment, the world seems to have become false. The light fills every part of the world, both of them have tinnitus, and everything around them becomes unreal. Tailed beast bomb hit the rocky ground, the terrifying energy drilled into the ground and exploded, and the terrifying shock wave swept all around. The whole mountain is shaking. Luhan retreated violently, continuously used Doden, Earth-style, defensive ninjutsu, and resisted with Thunder Shield Chakra mode. After all, Tailed Beast Bomb didn't hit him, so it was impossible to kill him directly. Waho, who has not exited the state of Tailed Beast, can't die. But this mountain. Iwagakure under the night, 300 or 400 Iwagakure ninjas have gathered under Shuangjian Mountain, and more Iwagakure ninjas are coming. The earth suddenly shakes, and Laozi and other strong Iwagakure who are very close to Shuangjian Mountain have all changed their faces. Back. Rewind. With a few loud shouts, all the ninjas close to Shuangjian Mountain disappeared with their hand seals, and those who were farther away quickly retreated. Boom, boom. Shuangjianshan collapsed. In the deafening roar, smoke and dust rose like a cloud, quickly covering at least 1/3 of the area of Iwagakure village. The two side-by-side peaks disappeared, and the Shuangjian Mountain, which was more than 100 meters high, was reduced to less than 70 meters. Massive rocks rolled down the mountain like a wave, covering the ground around the mountain. Everyone was stunned. Might Dai, Hitachi Taishuo, Kanyi and others who had just broken through the siege and were about to leave Iwagakure village in the north of the village. This, Lao Xiao, who was hiding far away, looked at the collapsed Shuangjian Mountain and was stunned. Landslide, the treasure house inside will be destroyed naturally. Although everything in the treasury is packed in boxes, even if it is buried, it can be dug up without much loss, but can Waho still survive? What's going on inside? Wuhu's suffocation tactics didn't work. If you can kill Han Guang, even if you damage Waho, it is worth it, but this is an unplanned loss. Inside the mountain, the treasure cave has completely collapsed. There are piles of rocks everywhere, up, down, left, and right. There is no room. Wahu's ultimate purpose of attack is to bury the cold light alive. Although it will also be affected, it will not necessarily die. At that time, the tailed beast bomb will open the mountain no matter where it is hit. This doesn't happen unless you hit the ground. Terrifying energy erupts underground, triggering powerful earthquakes, and the entire mountain collapses. A small space somewhere in Yamanaka. In the tortoise-shell-shaped defensive barrier constructed by Doden, Earth-style, ninjutsu, Wuhu's whole body is lit with Yuhi light, and his eyes are desperate. He couldn't get out either. The rock structure above the barrier had cracked and was about to collapse. After Waho cast Tailed Beast Bomb, chakra had bottomed out. In the previous battle of the rock fort, Waho had already it consumes a lot of chakra, so it is so desperate. Ha ha, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Waho laughed, first in a low voice, then into a wild laugh. Han Guang. It's worth it to have you buried with me. The light on Wahu's body completely faded, he exited the state of tailed beast, and the man returned to his normal appearance. He still maintains the non-breathing ninjutsu, but he doesn't know how long he can last. There is really not much chakra. Click, click. The cracks in the enchantment on the top of the head increased, and some gravel slag fell, and the external pressure was too great. Can you take me out? Waho whispered. He was asking about the terrifying existence in his body, the five-tailed King Mu. Mu is the name of the five tails, just as Kyubi, 9 tails, is called Kurama. It is impossible for the tailed beast to die here. Not to mention other things, just relying on its huge body, as long as it appears, it will not be a problem to overturn the mountain. Waho hasn't given up on surviving. There are two possibilities for him to survive. The first is that someone quickly clawed away the mountain outside, and the second is relying on the tailed beast. However, Wuhu didn't know how to release the five-tailed King Mu in his body, and he couldn't break the seal unless he committed suicide. But suicide doesn't make sense. The small space is already dark. Silent. Sudden. Boom _. The outside of the enchantment space was attacked, and a large hole was suddenly broken. With the rubble splashing, a figure rushed to Woohoo's side. There was a lot of light. Luhan's whole body flashed with lightning, and looked at Woohoo with sneering eyes. You! Woohoo was startled, his expression horrified. He didn't understand. Why is Han Guang still alive? Even if the pressure from being buried alive won't kill him directly, can't he be suffocated to death? Was he not affected by suffocation? Can he still move? Enlightenment. Luhan's sword was like thunder. The weak Woohoo didn't even have room to dodge. Chapter 0749-5-Tailed King Mew. Dignified level 60 gold boss, an existence comparable to Konoha White Fang, but his reputation is not obvious. At this time, under Luhan's knife, he has no power to fight back. Luhan didn't kill him directly. Because he is the five-tailed Jinchuriki column force, the five tails are sealed in his body, and once he dies, the five tails will also die. Of course, all tailed beasts can be resurrected, and it's okay to die once, but the point is, Luhan doesn't know where the five tails will be resurrected in the future, and he will lose the opportunity to capture the five tails this time. With this knife, Luhan hit Woohoo in the abdomen. The Raging Raiden Thunder-style chakra on the seal on the belly of the UHU. To hit enough. Strike again. Strike again. Luhan wants to break the seal violently. With his control over the sword, he was able to grasp the power. Woohoo was only shot out, but he would not be killed. Most of the attacking power would act on the seal. And Luhan has already made preparations. If Woohoo accidentally dies and the seal is not broken, then he will immediately launch the time and space tide to let Woohoo go back to the past. I don't know if it can be done. After all, Woohoo waiting is too strong. Woohoo was already in excruciating pain. Not only his clothes were burnt by lightning, but his skin was scorched. In fact, Luhan didn't want to release the five tails in such a violent and unsafe way, but he didn't have time to study. Boom! Another attack, but Luhan's expression changed. He felt that Woohoo was dead and his vitality was cut off. At the same time, abnormally violent chakra fluctuations appeared from Woohoo's body, and white light appeared on Woohoo's abdomen, filling the entire space in an instant, becoming brighter and brighter. The seal was also broken at the same time Woohoo died. An extremely terrifying monster, like a devil trying to escape the cage, appeared with the light and quickly grew bigger. Iwagakure under the night, Laozi and others have been organizing people to excavate the collapsed Shuangjian mountain. The mountain suddenly shook and began to shake. Many ninjas who were carrying boulders on the mountain were all unsteady and fell down. The unlucky ones were directly smashed into flesh by the rocks. Shouts and screams sounded one after another. Laozi and other strong men all dodged to the mountain, while saving people, while shouting for others to leave first and stay away. Who attacked inside? Who's alive? Could it be Lord Woohoo? Many people have made guesses, and Laozi is even more delighted. Master Woohoo can't breathe, and he won't suffocate. After he turns into a beast, he might be able to rush out from it. Inside the mountain, a behemoth with white hair like snow propped up a huge space inside the mountain. Its shape is like a horse, with four hooves on the ground, and its body is strong and handsome, but its head looks a little strange. The five-tailed King Mew. Luhan, whose whole body was shining with thunder, looked up at this guy, and King Mew of Wuwei also looked down at Luhan with cruelty written in his eyes. I don't know if it's because it's been locked up for too long and its temperament has become like this. Or is it because it has feelings for the slain Woohoo? It is probably not the latter. If it is the latter, it means that the Wuwei King Mew already has a very deep friendship with Woohoo. How could Woohoo become so weak just now? If Wuwei King Mew is willing to help him, he cannot enter Wuwei. Chakra pattern. Obviously not. Although Woohoo can transform into a tailed beast, it is only at the primary stage, and he can't even fully transform into a five-tailed form to fight. It is estimated that the relationship between Woohoo and the five-tailed is not good. Strictly speaking, Woohoo's previous fighting state was only a half-tailed beast. Damn you! King Mu of Wu-Wei sneered at Kiba. Oh, Lu Han responded calmly, his hands suddenly closed, his eyes fixed on Wu's eyes, and a pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan spun rapidly. Mangekyo Sharingan can control the tail beast. But not absolutely. Uchiha Madara once controlled Kyuubi, 9 tails, as the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, but what character is Uchiha Madara? Uchiha Madara at his peak, according to the system rating, must be at least level 80 or 90. As the first person to open the eternal Mangekyo, he can be said to be the ancestor of Mangekyo Sharingan. He can control it, but not everyone else can. Have Mangekyo Sharingan in the original book. If they can really control the tailed beast, why not do it? There can be no chance at all. Lu Han knew that this had a lot to do with Tongli. Don't be careless. With high concentration, Lu Han fully activated a pair of eternal Mangekyo Sharingan's pupil power, and through the eyes of Wu Tai Mu King, the terrible pupil power continuously invaded Wu Tai Mu King's consciousness. Iwagakure at night, the fighting has subsided. Hataki Tai Shuo, Might Dai, Kani, Loka, plus 3 Iwagakure ninjas, all broke through and left Iwagakure village. Buddha, no one can stop him, and no one even dares to chase him. Onoki is finally back. It can be said that it took a lot of hard work to kill him. Lao Ai always pestered him and wouldn't let him go. In order to get rid of Lao Ai, Onoki ordered the 6 Iwagakure strongmen to hold Lao Ai to his death. He came back first. Onoki knew that if those 6 people besieged Lao Ai, maybe Lao Ai would not do well, and a few people would die on his own side. But it doesn't matter so much. In the village of Iwagakure, the harm caused by the cold light is definitely greater than the death of a few strong men. Struggling violently, but he still succumbed to Lu Han's eternal Mangekyo. When Lu Han subdued Queen Mu of Wu-Wei, he did not break through and leave immediately. Instead, his whole body was full of thunder, and the sword was shining like rain. He tore out the passage in Yamanaka. According to his memory, he found several positions for stacking boxes. Put all those boxes into the space backpack. Search is complete. Lu Han returned to where King Mu was, jumped on top of King Emu's head with 5 tails, raised the sword of Jinghong, and pointed the tip diagonally upwards. Jinghong Peerless. Boom _. The huge lightning ball was struck, and the exploding mountain body surged. At the same time, the 5-tailed King Mu raised his hoofs, and the huge body broke through in the direction of the attack of Stunning Peerless World. Chapter-750 Steal the 5 Tails. Immediately after Onoki entered the village of Iwagakure, an Iwagakure ninja saw him and came to him. Where's the cold light? Onoki asked eagerly, looking very impatient. Ninjas from Iwagakure village who gathered over quickly explained the situation to Onoki. Onoki moved in the direction of Shuangjian Mountain like crazy after listening to it. His speed was naturally extremely fast. And it doesn't take a minute. Minute later, Onoki had reached the center of Iwagakure village. But I saw an earthquake first, and then the mountain that had collapsed once in the distance seemed to erupt. A huge amount of gravel surged up, and a huge and beautiful body rushed out from Yamanaka, with shining tears accompanying it. When he finally saw the moon again, Lu Han suddenly felt his body light up, the suffocation disappeared, and the feeling of being able to breathe was really enjoyable, as if the whole body was happy because of it. Lu Han didn't have the heart to sigh. The first time he stood on top of Wu-Wei King Emu's head and rushed out of the mountain, he glanced at the insight map. Iwagakure Village, Land of Earth, Level 70 Bronze Boss Onoki. Big Yuhi Point is him. He is back. Lu Han immediately turned his head and looked in the direction of Onoki. In the Raven Thunder style chakra mode, he looked so shining, and Onoki naturally saw the cold light standing on top of Wu-Wei's head, and his eyes were splitting. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, Onoki, you remember, this is your price of Konoha declared war. Ha 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 ha, the reticulated voice spread throughout Iwagakure village. However, on the top of the mountain, King Mu with 5 tails stood up under the control of Lu Han, his front hooves were raised high, and then he rushed down the mountain fiercely. With one jump, you can climb another mountain next to it, and after several jumps, it leaves the range of Iwagakure village and enters Yamanaka, which is southwest of Iwagakure village. Unstoppable. The encirclement was never formed, and before Onoki arrived, the collapse of the mountain also caused a lot of confusion, and some Iwagakure ninjas were injured. Laozi had forgotten about the encirclement before, because the mountain collapsed. He was trying to save Waho, but unexpectedly, Han Guang is still alive. Not only are people still alive, but also the tailed beasts of the Iwagakure village that were kidnapped. Leaving Iwagakure village, the five-tailed King Mew ran with his hoofs. He was too big to go over mountains and mountains. King Mew was a tailed beast who was good at speed. It's too late to arrange. There is a very crucial question. Can Onoki beat the combination of cold light and five tails? Obviously not. This made Onoki angry and mad, but he didn't dare to chase after him without explaining anything. It was no different from sending him to death. On the moonlit night, the mountain road was difficult to navigate, but the five-tailed King Mew was walking on the ground, carrying Lu Han. King Emew's body height is about 40 meters, and his length is 60 or 70 meters. Although such a behemoth cannot compare to Lu Han's Susanoo, it is also slightly taller than the low mountain behind him. Lu Han stood on top of Wu-tailed King Emew's head and sensed it for a moment, then patted Wu-tailed King Emew's head, leaving behind Horaishin and disappeared. He didn't know if staying away from the five tails would cause it to get out of control, but Lu Han had to leave first. More than 40 kilometers north of Iwagakure village, among the mountains, Might Dai and others were running wildly. They were evacuating according to Lu Han's previous arrangement, and they did not dare to stop for a moment. The harsh sound of breaking through the air quickly approached, but behind a few people, a blue lightning bolt came through the sky, quickly closing the distance. It's Raikage-sama. Lord Raikage is back. Everyone stopped one after another, and the blue lightning also came to them, turning into the sturdy figure of Lao Ai, including Hitachi Taishuo and Might Dai. Everyone respectfully greeted Lao Ai, while Lao Ai had a serious expression. His eyes swept away. Everyone else died. This operation, 3 people died in Kumogakure village, all of them were super elite Jonin. Compared with the loss of Iwagakure village, these 3 people were considered dead well, but they were chosen by Lao Ai after all. How many strong people can there be in the village? Connie immediately took a step forward, briefly described the battle situation at that time, and finally said, their corpses were buried in the rubble in the subsequent battle. Lao Ai nodded and said with a sigh, go back and set up a burial for them and give them a thick burial. Lord Raikage, Hitachi Taishuo couldn't hold it any longer. He stepped forward and asked respectfully, I don't know, my teacher is. This, Lao Ai immediately put his grief behind him and laughed loudly. Ha, Han Guang succeeded. He not only successfully robbed the Iwagakure treasure house, but also took away the tailed beast of Iwagakure village, the five-tailed King Mew. Iwagakure has been hit hard. Quote. You're done. No one is happier than Lao Ai. Because Kumogakure's main enemy is Iwagakure village, Iwagakure village's foundation is shaken, even the tailed beasts have been snatched away, and the strength is weakened. Correspondingly, Kumogakure will have more advantages over Iwagakure. I watched Han Guang take Wu Wei with my own eyes, and then I left Iwagakure village and chased after you. Lao Ai finally said. Then everyone looked at each other. In the original plan, there was no arrangement to leave separately, but now that Lu Han is separated from them, how should they go? Who is looking for whom? No meeting point was agreed. At this time, Lu Han appeared beside Hitachi Taishuo out of thin air. Hitachi Taishuo had Lu Han's Horaishin Kunwu on him. This was one of Lu Han's previous plans. What if Hitachi Taishuo was targeted by Onoki? Lu Han must support Hitachi Taishuo. However, this was just being prepared, and this did not happen. Time is pressing, I'll keep it short. Lu Han didn't talk nonsense. He took out the map and pointed to the location above. I have to take care of the five tails. let's go separately, we will meet here before dawn. Okay, let's go, Old Eye responded immediately. Lu Han disappeared, the space changed, and a moment later, he reappeared on the top of Wu Wei Mu Wang's head. Although King Mu was anxious, there was no problem. Go, Lu Han drove King Mu across the mountain. Chapter 0751-Inventory the Harvest. Lu Han's meeting place is 300 kilometers east of Iwagakure village. In terms of distance, Lu Han has to go further. This is because Lu Han deliberately took care of them. After all, except for Lao Ai, everyone else's speed will be much slower. With the five-tailed train, Lu Han didn't even need to use his feet to travel. He didn't even use chakra. He sat cross-legged on top of King Emu's head. Although it was a little bumpy, it was much easier than traveling by himself. Later in the night, 3:30. In the land in the north, the dawn time is earlier, and at this moment, the sky has already lit up with a hazy light. Lu Han rushed to the appointed place, which was a deep Yamanaka depression, surrounded by some low mountain ridges. Wu Wei Mu Wang was much higher than those mountain ridges, and it looked particularly eye-catching. Before the others arrived, Lu Han had time to clean up the gains from tonight's battle. It does not refer to the treasure house harvest, but the kill drop. In fact, in the 2-hour battle tonight, Lu Han didn't kill too many people. It wasn't because he didn't want or was hesitant, but because it was too difficult to kill. At first, he could block the gods, but wait for the Iwagakure ninja. After all reacted, Lu Han encountered many obstacles. He could only act according to the plan and not mess around. Otherwise, he would be the one who would die. In total, there are more than 300 ninjas who died at the hands of Lu Han tonight. More than 100 of them were blown up by Lu Han's instant flower and rain cutting technique. After that, Lu Han supported Might Dai, Lorca, and even the rock fortress battlefield that Lorca was responsible for attacking. It took more than half an hour to use Susanoo to fight. However, when Lu Han used Susanoo, he was first restrained by Wu Wei Waho, and then came Oiwa, and because Iwagakure ninjas were good at defense and could use Doden Earth-style ninjutsu in combination, Lu Han was heavily restrained, and it was difficult to expand further. Results: Iwagakure strongmen died in the hands of Lu Han. In the melee, Lu Han could not even kill ordinary Jonins, let alone those super elites with strong names. However, a lot of those who were injured under Lu Han's hands were caught. Lu Han and more than 90% of Iwagakure's ninjas had fought in different ways, and at least 1,500 people were injured by his attacks. Of course, the purpose of tonight's action wasn't to kill, so it didn't matter how many people Iwagakure killed. Moreover, Lu Han also killed the five-tailed Jinchuriki column Liwaho. The existence of this Iwagakure village ranked among the top 3 in strength can be regarded as a brilliant victory. Quick count. Some rubbish Lu Han didn't even look at, and just threw it away in the space backpack. If it was a low-level ninjutsu scroll, he would just open it and learn it. Without the rubbish that Genin Chunin exploded, Lu Han was quick to count. Turtle's hidden technique. Lu Han picked up a special secret technique scroll, which was an A-level secret technique. It should be the one that allows Waho to be normal under suffocation, right? Lu Han didn't look at it. At a second glance, the scroll was thrown into the recycling Uzumaki. 15 ingots were recovered. Final inventory results. 639 ingots in the battle tonight. It is also poor. It wasn't Lu Han's problem. The main reason was that, without the first kill, most of the ninjas killed were low-level ninjas. The Iwagakure Chunin who were killed one by one had a huge gap between their strength and Lu Han's, and the low explosion rate caused people to lose. To put it bluntly, now Lu Han, killing 10 Chunin, may not be able to explode a gold ingot. If it wasn't for the fact that Lu Han finally killed the level 60 gold boss Waho, it is estimated that his harvest would be halved. Lu Han suddenly noticed that on the insight map, several blue dots were intruding from the southwest of the map, and immediately packed up in front of him and got up to look. Lao Ai, Might Dai, Hitaki Tai Shuo, Kan Yi, Luo Ka, plus 3 Kumogakure super elites, a total of 8 people came over the mountain. Lao Ai, who was surrounded by thunder, was the first to arrive in front of the Wu-tailed King Mu, and lifted his head to carry the huge Wu-tailed King Mu. Lao Ai's eyes were hot, and he almost wrote the words envy and jealousy on his face. Although there are 8 tails in Kumogakure village, who is too much of a tailed beast? Others arrived behind Lao Ai one after another, and they were all like Lao Ai, looking up at the 5-tailed King Mu. His face was very exciting. They all knew the existence of tailed beasts, and many people had seen different tailed beasts with their own eyes, but this does not mean we'll be shocked again. Because the tailed beast is really too big. 5-tailed King Mu pursed his mouth and looked at the little ones below with indifferent eyes, then he lost interest and looked away. It had been sealed by Iwagakure in the human body of Jinchuriki column force, and it was finally released, and then controlled by Luhan. It really only came out of the wolf's den and was like a tiger's mouth. It was about to die. The calm it shows is not because it wants to be calm, but because it cannot resist. Mind control is stronger than seal control. Come up, let's go to join the big army first. Luhan jumped on the back of King Mu of Wu-wei and greeted below. Lao Ai and the others jumped onto Wu-wei's back one after another. Because Wu-wei is too big, the people on its back are equivalent to being on a relatively flat platform, and there will be no instability in standing. Luhan ordered King Mu of Wu-wei to run to the east, and then motioned everyone to sit down and rest. Wu-wei ran all the way. Luhan let it slow down a little, and the back was not too bumpy. Everyone talked about the battle at night. This is in the intelligence gathering. Lao Ai and Hatake Taishuo are all acting alone. Luhan he has also fought thousands of Iwagakure ninjas alone. Might Dai, Yi Kan and others have also fought against opponents that others have never fought against. In this operation, the 9 people can be said to have touched the whole Iwagakure's details. You communicate with each other. You can know how many shadow ninjas and how many elite Jonins there are in Iwagakure. Soon, an hour passed. The sky is already bright. The mountains in the distance are undulating, and the wind and sand are very strong. The environment of the land of the earth can really be called extremely desolate. Luhan finally sorted out the information, wrote it down on paper, and handed it to the public for circulation. Lao Ai glanced at it, then handed the paper to Connie, raised his head and said to Luhan, I think we should redistribute the spoils. Oh. I don't want money, I'll give you all the money. Don't. Yes, but I want 5 tails. Chapter 0752_Shameless. Luhan looked at Lao Ai speechlessly. He didn't expect Lao Ai to make such a request. He originally wanted to give him half of the money he got in the treasure house, but he said no, he wanted a tailed beast. This is really stinky shameless. Shame on you he. Dare to open your mouth. Hundreds of millions of money can be compared to the tailed beast. Don't you know the value of the tailed beast? Lao Ai naturally knows the value of the tailed beast, but he is really too jealous, because the tailed beast is an accidental gain. Naturally, whoever grabs it counts. Luhan grabs it, and Lao Ai, who is an ally, can't grab it outright. Can have the cheek to negotiate a conditional exchange. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Luhan said with a tone that could see through the true face of Lao Ai. What? Lao Ai was taken aback. It's nothing. Luhan immediately turned away and said, the issue of loot distribution will be discussed when we meet with the main force. I robbed the Iwagakure treasure house, but Iwagakure put all the treasures in the box, I don't know yet. What's the value of what's inside? Luhan was just looking for an excuse. When he reunited with the Kurigakure Corps, Luhan threw the money into the camp and took people away immediately. What else can Lao Ai say? Lao Ai could see that Luhan didn't want to give him the tail beast, but he didn't say anything. After half a day. Noon. The sun in the land is very poisonous, which has a lot to do with the climate of the land. Even if it is the same temperature, the sun in the land will give people the feeling that it is more poisonous than the land of fire, and it is very scorching. The wind and sand were rolling, the smoke was billowing, and the huge 5-tailed King Mu was still running wildly on the gobi. This gobi is extremely huge, almost endless. Lao Ai stands on top of Wu Wei's head, looking forward, standing high and seeing far. Standing on top of Wu Wei's head is equivalent to standing on a 10-story high-rise building, which can make old I saw something 10 kilometers away. The camp is coming soon. Lao Ai suddenly shouted, pointing to the front and turning back. It's the vanguard's camp. It looks like it's just set up camp. Connie, you all come with me. After speaking, Lao Ai jumped off the head of the high-speed moving Wu Wei, entered the Raiden Thunder-style chakra mode, and ran towards the camp at a faster speed, as did Connie and other Kumogakur ninjas, because the 5 King Waimu's speed didn't increase to ultimate, so they all ran ahead. Lao Ai and the others returned to the camp first. Naturally they had to make arrangements. If it is not arranged in advance, the ninjas in the Kumogakur Pioneer camp will see the 5 tails rushing from a distance, and there must be trouble, and I don't know how many people will be frightened and have a heart attack, if they have a heart attack. Not long after, Lu Han drove the 5-tailed King Mu to the front of the camp. The gate of the camp has been demolished, and some tents blocking the road have also been demolished, and King Mu of Wu Wei entered the camp directly. The Kumogakur ninjas in the camp all know that the 5 tails belong to oneself, so naturally there is no trouble, but many Kumogakur ninjas still look at the 5 tails with horror. This is a tailed beast. The tail beast is so big. Not everyone has seen a tailed beast, especially some young ninjas, and not many have seen a tailed beast. In the middle of the camp was a large training ground. Wu Wei walked to the training ground and took up half of the space. Lu Han, Hitachi Tai Shuo, Might Dai and others jumped down. Lu Han flashed over to Lao Ai and whispered a few words to Lao Ai. Seeing that Lao Ai had arranged to count the manpower, he followed Lao Ai's instructions and walked over. On the training ground, wave your hand, take 2 steps to wave your hand, and then take 2 steps to wave your hand. Big boxes appeared out of nowhere and piled up together. Lu Han took out all the boxes he got in the Iwagakure treasury, more than 200 in total. And when he waved his hand for the last time, in addition to the same Iwagakure box on the ground in front of him, there were also several very delicate small boxes. Ah, that's not right, these were snatched from Kurigakure. Lu Han said, then waved the small boxes and disappeared. In this world, every region has its own style, different folk customs, and so on. Iwagakure's box looks completely different from Kurigakure's box, and the pattern style is very different. Lu Han put away the box he took out, and Lao Ai had no objection at a glance. He could see that those small boxes were definitely not owned by Iwagakure. After taking out all the gains, Lu Han stepped aside. Open the box and count. Lao Ai ordered. Kumogakur ninjas who had been prepared immediately stepped forward, first separated the piled boxes, and then opened them one by one. Seeing that there were still few people, Lao Ai ordered another 200 people to be counted. Gold, white silver, copper coins, precious stones, dried precious herbs, gold-silver utensils, historical relics, legendary weapons. As the boxes are opened, more and more treasures are presented to everyone. Surprised, more and more Kumogakur ninjas gathered around to watch, and most of them had never seen so much money in their lives. Lao Ai did not stop the onlookers. Although the camp was a bit chaotic, how could it be as important as showing off the spoils? Just show off. I is going to show these Kumogakur ninjas the spoils of last night. Let them know the skills of their own Raikage-sama. Compared with the large group of Kumogakur ninjas who were shocked by the huge wealth, Lao Ai behaved very indifferently. Kumogakur is not without a treasure house. Lao Ai often goes there. To say that the Kumogakur treasury belongs to him is also true. But I saw that another big box was opened, followed by exclamations, and everyone stared at it. Lao Ai was also shocked, his eyes widened a lot. It was a box of gems, but it was not an ordinary gem, because most of the gems were only the size of the belly of the little finger, and all the gems in the box were the size of a human eye. The bigger the gem, the more valuable it is. A gem of the same quality, doubled in size, may cost 10 times as much. The surroundings were suddenly very quiet. Because the box was opened again, and the gems inside were all the size of eggs. It's all polished. How rich is the village of Iwagakure? Even if your country produces gems, this. Lao Ai made a quick calculation in his heart, plus other boxes that had been opened, and quickly came up with a number. 2 billion. Chapter 0753_rare is precious. Lao Ai's eyes are full of Yuhi, and he frequently turns his eyes to Lu Han who is beside him, looking hesitant and struggling. He regretted it a little. No money, just tailed beasts. Old Ai Ben thought that in the Iwagakure treasury, there are at most 700 or 800 million taels of money. In half, Kumogakure should get more than 300 million, and exchange more than 300 million for 5 taels, which is naturally very cost-effective. But now, if these treasures are worth at least 2 billion, half for 1 billion. To exchange 1 billion for the tailed beast, it cannot be said that the tailed beast is not worth 1 billion, because the value of the tailed beast is immeasurable, but Lao Ai thinks it is not worth it. After all, there are already 8 taels in Kumogakure village. Even if the 5 taels are brought back, they must first find a suitable person, Jinchuriki column, and train them. This is a very complicated and long process. In other words, even if the 5 taels are given to the Kumogakure village, the fighting power of the Kumogakure village will not immediately increase. But if they were given 1 billion yuan, such a large amount of funds, the war capital of Kumogakure village would definitely increase several times immediately. How can Iwagakure village be so rich? So rich. Lao Ai was thinking for a while, people were a little anxious, and he said everything. What if Han Guang told him the tailed beast, what should he do? It took more than an hour for more than 300 Kumogakure ninjas to roughly estimate the value of all the treasures. Lord Rakage, the final estimate. The middle-aged ninja with glasses walked up to Lao Ai and made 2 calculations in the notebook before saying, These are 2.36 billion, the error no more than 50 million. Quote. It's just an estimate. No amount of people can calculate the exact price in such a short period of time, because the price of some things is floating, so there are errors. Lao Ai swallowed his saliva subconsciously, and immediately walked to Lu Han's side, patted Lu Han's shoulder, and said in a loud voice, Ha 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 ha. Good. Hangguang, I didn't expect us to have such a harvest this time. Let's share, according to it was agreed before, 1 person and 1/2. Quote. He never mentioned anything about the tailed beast. Lu Han gave him a strange look, and immediately replied, Okay, let's divide it. All the same kind of things are of similar value. We divide them equally, so we don't have to forget it. It must be 1 person and 1/2. Okay. With a wave of Lao Ai's big hand, the commander who couldn't bear it moved away the portion belonging to Kumogakure village. Lu Han saw Lao Ai's expression in his eyes. Lao Ai's eyes were shining, and he subconsciously rubbed his hands. Lu Han just wanted to laugh. He knows what Lao Ai thinks. At the same time, he also understood that Lao Ai was wrong. Are these things really worth more than 2.3 billion? Bullshit. If there is so much money in the Iwagakure treasury, how much is left in the small treasury of the various tribes in Iwagakure village? How many more are there in the land of the land daimyo? You must know that the daimyo must be richer than the village of Iwagakure. After all, isn't the land of the land richer than the rest of the ninja world combined? Is it possible? Impossible. In Lu Han's eyes, the value of this batch of things is at most 700 million or 800 million, and there can be no more. Why does the Kumogakure ninja count more than 2 billion? Because they don't understand economic rules. This is the Kumogakure pioneer camp. The ninjas here are all from the main army of Iwagakure village. When it comes to fighting, they are all militants, but when it comes to business, they all know nothing, including Lao Ai. Of the more than 2 billion calculated by the Kumogakure ninja, at least 2 billion came from gems. This is where they go wrong. Very simple truth, what is rare is more expensive. Not to mention the huge amount of small gems. Just say that a box of gems the size of an egg is worth a fortune and can be sold for several million taels. Tens of millions. But this is the price of 1. If you take out 100 at the same time, the market simply cannot digest it, which will cause the price of all gems to plummet at the same time. Luhan can imagine that the reason why Iwagakure village put so many gems in the treasure house is because they understand the truth that rare is the most precious thing. If they put all the treasure houses into the market at the same time, they will not be able to buy the price at all. The price of gems is too high, and they have no particularly high practical value. They can sell for sky-high prices because they are rare and beautiful. Therefore, the price of such things is completely determined by the market. As a traveler, although Luhan is not a businessman, he understands the truth very well. It's not just gems, it's the same with many things. For example, a famous painting has only one pair. It is an orphan and can be auctioned for a sky-high price of 100 million. But if there are 1,000 paintings, the value will definitely plummet by dozens of hundreds of times. According to the method of dividing the same thing in half, all the treasures will be distributed soon. The Kumogakure ninja removed their share, and Luhan also stepped forward and put all the rest into the space quilt. After a brief discussion with Luhan, Lao Ai ordered the entire army to withdraw from the camp and retreat. Luhan also officially bid farewell to Lao Ai, and took Hitachi Taishuo, Might Dai, and King Mu of Wuwei and headed southeast. Luhan planned to go through the country of iron and return directly to the country of fire, without going to the rain country. Although it was also on the way to the land of rain, Luhan didn't want to waste time there. Anyway, the village of Iwagakure had already been drained. The legion of Iwagakure village would soon be withdrawn from the land of rain, and the crisis in the land of rain would be resolved. Luhan had to go back to Konoha first. He had to arrange the 5 tales first. If Iwagakure village spreads all over the world, I think it will cause a new round of sensation and prompt the reshuffle of the ninja world. I don't know that Sunagakure village will be scared to withdraw its troops and transfer back to the army to guard the village. It's possible. Because among the 5 major ninja villages, Iwagakure village is protected by natural danger, and it is the most difficult ninja village to fight, but it has been robbed of its treasure house. This is an incredible thing. How could it be successful? But it was a success. Iwagakure village is like this. What about Sunagakure village? 4 days later. The land of fire, Konoha village. The conference room, 3 advisors, Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, and Hyuga Huyang, were discussing the next step of the Rain Kingdom, and there was a dispute. No, I disagree. If we don't, we are likely to suffer huge losses. Vote, the minority obeys the majority. Why don't you come to Lord Lei and listen to his opinion? Report. A cold report suddenly sounded outside the door, information of the land of the land. Chapter 0754 that doesn't matter anymore. The dark conference room, the round conference table is very large, and there are only 3 people in the conference room, which looks very cold. Hearing the report from outside, the excited Kaharu Udatane calmed down, took a deep breath, and said to the outside, "Send in." An Anbu Zero Squadron ninja pushed open the door and entered the conference room, hurried over to Kaharu Udatane, and handed over the information scroll. There is no seal on the scroll, but it is wrapped with yuhi rope. Generally, this kind of information is not very important. After getting the scroll, Kaharu Udatane waved his hand. His eyes still swept back and forth on the faces of Homura Mitokado and Hyuga Huyang. Then Anbu Ninja got a signal and backed out. Kaharu Udatane immediately slapped the table and said, "I repeat, I don't agree." "Don't get excited, don't get excited." Homura Mitokado reassured and sighed again. "I understand your feelings, but the supplies are robbed, and the Legion even has a problem with eating. You can send some ninjas to collect supplies and escort them to the border, so why withdraw all the legions?" Kaharu Udatane argued. "The group of ninjas who stole the supplies have no other information except to prove that they are Iwagakure ninjas." Hyuga Huyang retorted, "They are still active in the northwest region of the Fire Country, and if they don't find them, even if they collect more supplies, on the way to the border, they can also be robbed." Quote, "How do you know if you don't try?" Kaharu Udatane looked at Hyuga Huyang coldly. "If you don't do it, how do you know that you will be kidnapped?" How can we ensure that we won't be kidnapped? Hyuga Huyang asked rhetorically. Hyuga Tiger Young, why are you so cowardly? Kaharu Udatane slapped the table. Have you considered the consequences of the army's withdrawal? Sunagakure, Amegakure, and Iwagakure will take advantage of the situation to attack the country of fire. Don't make noise. Don't make noise. Calm down. Homura Mitokado came to be a good man again, looking at the excited Kaharu Udatane and sighed in his heart. Just when Luhan left Konoha, a big event happened on the battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain. A small group of Iwagakure troops broke through Konoha's blockade of the border and infiltrated the northwest region of the Land of Fire. 2 days ago, they attacked the team of Konoha escorting supplies, which would be enough for 10,000 ninjas to eat and drink for a month, and a large number of them. All brand new weapons were burnt. This small group of ninjas is extremely elite. Although there are less than 100 people, the average strength is extremely high, and their purpose is to burn the supplies of the Konoha Legion. Killing is secondary. Iwagakure village who attacked the supply team were the S-rank special main battle unit formed by Onoki on the day he declared war on Konoha. They entered the Land of Rain first, but changed their strategy. Instead of launching a blitzkrieg against the Konoha Legion, they circled behind the Konoha Legion and entered the Land of Fire, looking for the supply team of the Land of Fire. Burning Konoha's supplies was successful, and Konoha village's 9,000 ninjas on the front lines were also in trouble. If the problem of getting enough food can't be solved immediately, then this war is really impossible to fight. News came back to Konoha. Homura Mitokado and Hyuga Huyang meant to let the Legion retreat, first return to the northwest area of the Fire Country, and collect materials directly from the people, so that there was no problem of supply and transportation, and Kaharu Udatane was the Legion. Don't move, take some ninjas to collect materials from the northwest region and transport them there. The two sides insisted on their own words, refused to give in to each other, and stalemate. The meeting room fell silent. Cough. Homura Mitokado broke the silence and coughed softly. Tell Mr. Lai to come and listen to his opinion. Kaharu Udatane did not speak with a dark face. Homura Mitokado gave 2 orders to the outside, and then the meeting room fell silent again. During the waiting process, the two sides had nothing to say. Kaharu Udatane turned his attention to the information that she had just sent. The information scroll was left on the desk by her, and she picked it up again, opened the Yuhi rope and unfolded the scroll to see. Go. Master Hangwang, together with Reikage, Hataki Teishuo, the 3rd generation of Kumogakure village, and others, a total of 12 strong men, raided Iwagakure village on the eve of the night. The night battle was about 2 o'clock. Iwagakure village's treasure mountain was destroyed. Master Hangwang and Wuwei King Mu broke through. Disappeared. The uncomplicated information may be sent out in a hurry, so it is not written in detail, but the main situation has been written clearly. Kaharu Udatane looked frightened, widened his eyes, opened his mouth slightly, and then stopped moving, as if petrified. Before opening this case, Kaharu Udatane didn't think about how important this information is, because there is no seal. The reason why there is no seal, but only Yuhi rope is tied, because this information is not afraid of being known by others. This incident will surely spread throughout the ninja world. What's wrong? Homura Mitokado asked, seeing Kaharu Udatane looking weird. Lord Hangwang grabbed the 5 tails. Kaharu Udatane suddenly turned his head to look at Homura Mitokado, his voice sharp, he made it. Then she threw the scroll to Homura Mitokado. Because it was not written in the intelligence, whether Luhan robbed the Iwagakure treasure house, only that the mountain was destroyed, so the focus of Kaharu Udatane was that Luhan robbed the 5 tails. After seeing it, Homura Mitokado immediately threw the scroll to Hyuga Huyang. After Hyuga Huyang looked at it, the meeting room fell into silence again, and the quiet needle drop could be heard. I don't know how long it took. You are looking for me. Inuzuka tearfully pushed the door into the conference room and said as he walked. The 3 people in the conference room were all shocked, as if they had just woken up, and turned their heads to look at Inuzuka's tears. Inuzuka was stunned for a moment, then stopped subconsciously and asked, "What's wrong?" "I heard that you were arguing about the looting of supplies." "That doesn't matter anymore," Kaharu Udatane said, his voice low, as if speaking to himself. "Information of the land, Lord Hengwang, he." Hyuga Huyang threw the scroll to Inuzuka's tears. The north of the country of fire, the territory of the country of iron. Luhan and others had already entered the territory of the Kingdom of Iron 3 days ago, but they only left today. The reason was Luhan's impulse to visit the general of the Kingdom of Iron, Sanchuan. Although the Iron Country cannot be compared with the 5 great ninja villages and Omegakure villages, it is also small and powerful. It gathers all the warriors in the country, and its comprehensive combat power is at least equivalent to a legion. Luhan visited Sanchuan in order to win over allies. Chapter 0755 Heroes of Konoha. The Iron Country is a pure kingdom of warriors. The country is not large, and there are not many people with the name of warriors, but there are also a large number of strong people. In fact, in a general sense, the warriors of the Iron Kingdom are not much different from taijutsu ninjas. Samurai can also use chakra. In terms of speed and power attack, they are not different from taijutsu ninjas. They can also use similar taijutsu ninjas. Samurai technique. A samurai named, with a knife, who was an A-level samurai, equivalent to the elite jonin among ninjas. After being reincarnation by Impure World, he used the futon wind-style melee skills. To say the difference between samurai and ninja, it is not without, that is, the ability of samurai is basically displayed through the sword. Almost all samurai may use chakra to form sword chi. Taiju ninja does not have any growth limit, ability various. On this day, within the territory of the Iron Country, within a forest. "Don't worry, Lord Hengwang, I swear by the faith of a samurai, and I will never fail the care of your Iron Country. The troubled times should come to an end. Master Mikewan, then please send troops as soon as possible, and when the turbulent times are judged, your hero's name will be spread all over the world." In front of the huge Wuwei, Luhan, along with Hitaki Teishuo and Might Dai, are saying goodbye to more than a dozen high-level officials of the Iron Country, including Mifune. Mifune has long heard about Hengwang's reputation and admires it. This time the two have negotiated an alliance. As for the matter, the 3 boats even sent people 10 miles away. The Iron Country is a permanent neutral country. The Iron Country in the original book avoided the First Ninja War, and the Second and Third. After that, they joined the Fourth Ninja War in order to change diplomatic relations. However, Luhan's visit to the Iron Country this time has brought forward the time when the Iron Country will no longer be neutral by nearly 30 years. It is extremely difficult to convince the country of Iron. They remain neutral, and the major ninja villages have agreed not to fight them, so they have no need to participate in the ninja war. When Luhan first saw Sanchuan, he was polite to each other first, then Akatsuki moved his feelings with reason, analyzed the general situation in the world, denounced the danger of the war in the ninja world, and finally took out his trump card, give money. The Ninja World War has been fought for so many years. Although the Iron Country did not participate in the war and was not beaten, and only secretly did some things that were beneficial to the Iron Country, it was still greatly affected. The most important thing was the economy. Because of the war, the business economy of the ninja world is not good, and the country of Iron is naturally the same. Luhan gave the Kingdom of Iron almost 500 million taels worth of gems. Of course, this is according to the algorithm of Kumogakure village. If according to Luhan's algorithm and the principle of what is rare is the most expensive, those gems will only be worth 100 million taels at most. In fact, it is nonsense to say too much. The reason why the Kingdom of Iron agreed to form an alliance to send troops is because Luhan gave money. Money can turn the devil around. Anyway, Luhan didn't feel bad about using the stolen money. After saying goodbye to Sanchuan, Luhan and the others officially set out on their way home. The speed of the 5 taels was very fast. After just one day, everyone returned to the Land of Fire and went straight to Konoha village. At the same time, Iwagakure village retreated. All the ninjas of Iwagakure village who were fighting outside were ordered to go to Iwagakure village. The village retreated. Konoha Legion in the Land of Rain, the pressure suddenly eased. Han Guang and I teamed up to attack Iwagakure village also spread throughout the ninja world during this period of time, and the whole ninja world was a sensation. Is crazy. Not crazy, really can't do such a thing. Chio, who participated in the battle on the front line, got the news. He directly ordered the Sunagakure village army in the country of rain to stop attacking, retreat across the board, stick to the camp at the rear, gather strength, and prevent the crazy cold light from suddenly coming to the country of rain to kill. Keep wait and see. Luhan is really out of the ordinary. This made the enemies of Konoha in the ninja world panic. Who knows where Han Guang will fight next time? Another day, the Land of Fire, the village of Konoha. Report. A Konoha scout ninja rushed into the consultant's office in the Hokage building like a madman, knelt down on one knee and said to Kaharu Udatane, "Report, Lord, found the trace of Lord Hengguang, and it is still 20 miles from the north village entrance." "I'm back." Kaharu Udatane stood up suddenly, then ran out in a hurry, and shouted again, "Go and inform others, tell them, Lord Hengguang is back." Konoha village, north. King Mu of Wuwei was running at a neither fast nor slow speed, because he was very close to Konoha village, and he was not in a hurry at this time. Running too fast would scare people. When there were still a few kilometers left in Konoha village, Hitaki Taishuo and Mike Dai jumped off Wuwei's back and ran towards Konoha village first. Luhan can't do this. He can't get too far from the Five Tails, because he doesn't know if the Five Tails will get out of control, and using the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan to control the Five Tails is not a long-term solution. It's a matter of placing it. The village of Konoha is a few kilometers away. Luhan suddenly became suspicious. He used to open the Insight map from time to time to take a look. This time, when he opened the Insight map, he found that in Konoha village, thousands of ninjas were gathering at the entrance of the village. In line. Do you want to watch the tailed beasts? Is the discipline so bad? Luhan frowned. He thought of Inuzuka's tears. At present, most of the ninjas in Konoha are garrison ninjas. They left their posts without permission. Closer to Konoha, standing on top of Wuwei's head, Luhan was able to look down at Konoha village. He could already see that Konoha ninjas were everywhere in the village and outside the village. It is Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, Hyuga Huyang, Inuzuka Lei, Uchiha Leiyang and many other high-level or powerful figures in Konoha. Five Tails went to the front of the village. Congratulations to the return of Lord Hengguang. Under the leadership of Kaharu Udatane and others, nearly 2,000 Konoha ninjas both inside and outside the village got down on one knee at the same time and greeted Luhan. Luhan said anything. Kaharu Udatane said loudly, "Lord Hengguang, you are the hero of Konoha." Hero. 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 2,000 ninjas shouted in unison, and the mountains roared in tsunami. Chapter 0756 Seal the Five Tails. This was a welcome ceremony, and it was unknown who organized it, which caught Luhan off guard. "I can't be a Hokage, I'll kill you." Luhan looked at the surging ninja, looking at the excited eyes, muttering in his heart, and then he was a little annoyed. He didn't prepare words. Say what? Luhan has no experience at all. Normally, Luhan should give a speech at this time to further win people's hearts, and Sarutobi Hiruzen would definitely do this, but Luhan's political experience is very general, and when things come to an end, he will not say anything. Cough. Luhan coughed lightly, jumped off the head of the tailed beast, raised his hand and said, "Everyone get up." He then walked forward with the Five Tails. "Because I got the news in 2 days, some facilities at the entrance of the village have been demolished, and the huge Five Tails can easily enter the village of Konoha." The crowd automatically dispersed, making way for the passage of the Five Tails. "This is the tailed beast, it's so big. Master Hengguang can actually subdue the tailed beast, and the Five Tails are so huge, what about QB 9 tails? Just as big. I thought Lord Hangwang would say something, but he did earth-shattering things without making a sound, and he didn't say anything. Lord Hangwang has never liked nonsense. It's so hot, Lord Hangwang is sympathetic to us and doesn't want us to kneel here under the sun to listen to him. Lord Hangwang is really kind and doesn't put on airs at all. If I were to change, I would definitely stand on top of the tailed beast and walk around the village. How arrogant. This is the gap between you and Lord Hangwang. The chatter gradually sounded. Young ninjas were all talking about King Mew with 5 tails. When King Mew passed in front of them, many people retreated a little, as if they were afraid that King Mew would suddenly burst into flames and hurt others. Some people were also talking about Lu Han. Many people they all regarded Lu Han's non-nonsense and even a little indifferent behavior as sympathetic to his subordinates. This is how people are. Once a person is regarded as a hero and his actions are legendary, his every move will be well-meaningly answered by some people, and it can even be said to be overinterpreted. Konoha village is very big, and the tailed beasts cannot run in the village. They have to take a detour to avoid some buildings that cannot be demolished, so Lu Han can only take the tailed beasts to walk slowly in the village for more than half an hour before reaching the village square. The square in the village is very huge. This is the place for the military parade. Tens of thousands of people are not crowded here. The tailed beasts don't seem to take up much area here. Along the way, Kaharu Udatane and other Konoha executives followed Lu Han. It was Kaharu Udatane who was talking all the time, and no one else could get in. She first praised Lu Han's achievements excitedly, and naturally complimented Lu Han for a while, then began to inquire about the situation that night, and finally asked Lu Han sideways. Did Han rob the Iwagakure treasury? The current accurate information is that the mountain where the Iwagakure treasure house is located has collapsed. As for whether the things in the treasure house were taken away by Lu Han or buried underneath, there is no relevant information yet. Lu Han frequently turned his eyes to Kaharu Udatane. He found that Kaharu Udatane had changed, and he became more respectful to himself. Not being cautious, but the kind of respect that comes from admiration from the heart. In the square, Lu Han and the others stopped, and the others had already dispersed. Only Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, Inazuka Lei, Hyuga Huyang, and Uchiha Leiyang were left with Lu Han. I have already robbed the treasure house of Iwagakure, but because I had an agreement with Lao Ai beforehand, I gave half of it to Kumogakure village, so the harvest of this operation is not as good as the one at Kurigakure. Lu Han said to several people. It should be like this, don't break your trust. Kaharu Udatane said immediately, with a big heart, the money is in hand, this is the most direct blow to Iwagakure. Ha ha ha, Lord Hangwang said that the harvest was not as good as that of Kurigakure. That's not right. 5 tails were robbed by us. This is more important than the money. Lord Hangwang's achievements are already comparable to the first generation of Lord Hokage. Uchiha Leiyang laughed, flattering Lu Han. The atmosphere is very harmonious. Not easy for Lu Han to go to the Hokage building now. Normally, he should hold a meeting now, but what about Wu Wei? Is there any way to temporarily resettle Wu Wei first? Lu Han asked after a few gossip with them. Yes. Kaharu Udatane nodded immediately, and he had the most say with Homura Mitokado because of his experience. You can summon ninjas who are good at sealing, you need. This way. After Kaharu Udatane finished speaking, Lu Han nodded and asked them to do it. The method is very simple, that is to seal the 5 tails. It is not sealed in the body of the human Jinchuriki column force, but is directly sealed on the ground and in the seal array. This is temporary, because the seal array itself does not have chakra, it needs the constant injection of ninjas to maintain it. The reason why the human Jinchuriki column force is it can be used as the carrier of the tailed beast because everyone has an extraordinary amount of chakra in Jinchuriki column power. 5 hours later, afternoon. More than 100 ninjas have been arranged in the square. These ninjas either have a large amount of chakra, or master sealing skills, or have some special secret skills. They will temporarily seal the 5 tails, and then implement a 3-shift system, taking turns maintain the chakra and reinforce the seal. Konoha ninjas presided over the seal. Although Luhan knew of their existence before, he didn't know that their master could temporarily seal the tailed beast's ability. At dusk, with the light of the huge seal formation rising, the 5 tails were imprisoned in the seal cage. After Luhan came into contact with Mangekyo's control over it, it became very irritable, and attacked the seal enchantment frantically, and the enchantment was shaken as a result. The temporary seal is very unreliable, but Konoha has a lot of people, and it is difficult for the 5 tails to rush out. After watching for a while, Luhan left and went to the Hokage building for a meeting. After a while, in the conference room, Iwagakure village, and the situation in the land of rain, let's not discuss it. Luhan glanced at the crowd and said quickly, there is only one topic for this meeting, people Jinchuriki column power. You can't keep the 5 tails sealed like this, there will be a problem. The problem, we have to find the right person. Quote. After Luhan finished speaking, the conference room was quiet for a while. Uchiha Lei Yang thought for a while, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Lord Hongguang, you can do it. Chapter 0757_person Jinchuriki column force candidate. Uchiha Lei Yang is worthy of being Luhan's caring little padded jacket. Although he sometimes turns into a pig teammate, it is a special case. Most of the time, Uchiha Lei Yang can guess some of Luhan's thoughts and tell him that Luhan is not good. If so, say it. Along the way, it can be said that Luhan spent most of his time thinking about how to arrange the 5 tails. For Luhan, it is the best choice to seal the 5 tails in his body and make him become a 5-tailed Jinchuriki column force. After all, he grabbed the 5 tails, and he has the right to choose how to deal with it, but Luhan is putting that he portrays himself as a great ninja who is dedicated to Konoha, and if he goes his own way, it will not be beautiful if he encounters opposition. More importantly, Luhan didn't even know that if he sealed the tailed beast in his body, he would be able to use the sealing technique. Even if some sealing techniques did not have a master, he could exchange them, but he would be used as the carrier of the tailed beast. It is the party involved, and it seems that he needs some assistance to seal himself. Therefore, Luhan needs to use the power of Konoha to seal the tailed beast in the body of the human Jinchuriki column power. Well, I am indeed one of the candidates. After Uchiha Lei Yang finished speaking, Luhan nodded. He didn't need to avoid anything. The 5 tails belong to him now, that is, I don't know if I am the most suitable candidate. Quote. Lord Hongguang's physical state should be the most suitable. Hyuga Huyang said. That's right. Kaharu Udatane thought for a while and nodded. Looking at Luhan, Lord Hongguang's chakra is enough to suppress the 5 tails, and Lord Hongguang is strong and experienced in combat, and has no flaws in all aspects. Once the 5 tails are collected in the body, it should be able to use the power of the 5 tails as soon as possible. Agreed. Homura Mitokado nodded too. Inuzuka didn't even say a word, because he didn't need to say anything, and he was a boring gourd. Everyone else agreed. As long as he didn't object, he didn't need to say more. Luhan was taken aback instead. No one objected. Everyone was so unanimous, which exceeded Luhan's expectations. What Luhan didn't know was that he didn't understand how the attack on Iwagakure village had shocked the senior leaders of Konoha and the ninjas in the whole ninja world. Iwagakure village had never been attacked, because the large army couldn't fight, the small one. Shareholders cannot win. Luhan couldn't win against Iwagakure village, and neither could I. Even if Iwagakure village sent out the main force, it was impossible to win. He just raided the village of Iwagakure, robbed the treasure house, robbed the tailed beast, and got out. The shock brought by this crazy and incredible thing, even Kaharu Udatane, a ninja who originally had malice towards Luhan and was a die-hard Sarutobi Hiruzen, turned to pervert and serve them thoroughly, not to mention other people. Luhan pondered. He didn't make the decision right away. Because he was suddenly dissatisfied. 5 tails is good, one of the tailed beasts, if you can use it, you can greatly improve your strength, but if you compare it with Kyubi, Nine Tails, there seems to be some gap. Luhan didn't expect to get his wish so easily. If so, what if I want Kyubi, Nine Tails? Cough. Luhan coughed lightly and said, actually, in terms of my strength, the seal of the 5 tails in my body will probably not bring a significant improvement to my strength in a few years. I'd better find some candidates first. People, don't be in a hurry to decide right away. Quote. Luhan found a somewhat lame excuse. In fact, it doesn't matter whether there is an excuse or not. Luhan said this, no one would object. They agreed to seal the 5 tails in Luhan's body, which did not mean that they believed that the 5 tails must only be sealed in Luhan's body. The meeting just started and ended shortly after. Homura Mitokado is in charge of the search for Jinchuriki column candidates, and others can recommend to Homura Mitokado if they know of a suitable candidate. After the meeting, Luhan hurried home. Hyuga Luoning had already finished taking a shower, dressed herself up fragrantly, and cooked a sumptuous dinner. As soon as Luhan entered the door, she jumped into Luhan's arms excitedly, and became intimate for a while. Uzumaki Kushina was not there. Luhan and Hyuga Luoning Greasy were over, only to find out that Kushina was actually going to see King Mu of Wuwei. She was more curious about this than others because Kyubi, Nine Tails, was sealed in her body. You have no conscience. Knowing that I'm back, I didn't wait for me at home. I hurt her in vain. Luhan muttered for a while, then went to the square in person and brought back Kushina, who was talking to King Mu through the seal barrier. Dinner is of course a joyous one. Meal, Kushina excitedly went to see King Mu of the 5 tails again. He was really curious and didn't know what to say. Luhan went back to the room with Hyuga Luoning, and after that, it was quite lingering. 5 days later. Tsunade, White Fang, Hyuga Haeyong and others who received the order returned to Konoha village one after another. The situation in the country of rain has eased. With the army of the Iron Country entering the territory of the country of rain, Konoha not only got rid of the crisis, but also in terms of military strength. Not losing to the Sand and Rain coalition, and Mifune is extremely strong. With him joining, it will not be of great help to Konoha. This afternoon, Tsunade had just returned, and he had to spend time with Luhan and tell each other about his experiences. Hyuga Luoning, who is very knowledgeable, went out to visit friends again, and left the space to Luhan and Tsunade. Tsunade was crawling in Luhan's arms and completed the mission report. After a few storms, Tsunade hugged Luhan's neck and said in a sweet voice, Lord Kun, I heard again that Iwagakure suffered heavy losses this time, and lost a lot of money. Here, Luhan said nothing. The space backpack was empty again. Luhan left behind the gold and silver coins he got from Iwagakure, and gave all the gems and antique calligraphy and paintings to Tsunade. He didn't ask for anything else, as long as Tsunade was happy. After that, Tsunade turned his face and didn't recognize the person, and ignored Luhan, and excitedly went to carry the small treasury. Luhan got dressed, walked around to the Hokage building, and processed some documents in the Hokage assistant's office. Then, when he was about to leave again, Homura Mitokado's voice sounded outside the door. Lord Cold Light. Come in. Lord Hangguang. Homura Mitokado pushed in the door, holding a scroll in his hand, and hurried to Luhan at the same time. Find out a few Jinchuriki column candidates, this is the list. Chapter 0758 Kyubi, 9 Tails, is better for me. There are 4 people on the list, 3 men and 1 woman, named Uzumaki Ang, Uzumaki Arena, Senju Rasta, Senju Ryoza. It's too neat, 2 Uzumaki clan, 2 Senju clan. How many Uzumaki ninjas are there in Konoha at the moment? Luhan asked with a frown after seeing it. There are no ninjas, they are all children. Homura Mitokado replied, since the destruction of Uzushiogakure village, the Uzumaki people who did not die in the war have been living in all directions. Because Uzushiogakure village betrayed Konoha before the destruction of Uzushiogakure village, they are Konoha's enemies, so they wander. The Uzumaki ninjas are not willing to join the Konoha village. Even if we take the initiative to recruit them, we can only find some very young children. Over the years, we have found a total of 8. Quote. These two, Uzumaki Ang and Uzumaki Arena, are the most talented of the 8 children. Homura Mitokado pointed to the names on the scroll again. Senju Rasta and Senju Ryoza are from the Senju clan. The 2 most suitable children selected from here, but they are not as good as the current Kyubi, Nine-Tails people Jinchuriki, column Uzumaki Kushina. Time is running out. When we brought Uzumaki Kushina back to Konoha village, but in Uzushiogakure village after investigating for a long time. And now, with the destruction of the village of Uzushiogakure, we have fewer choices. Yeah, Luhan nodded. He understood what Homura Mitokado said. Because there is too little time, it is very difficult to choose another person who is comparable to Kushina's Jinchuriki column force. After all, this kind of thing cannot be made a big fan of. Whose body is the Jinchuriki column force sealed in as a secret? Come to think of it, Homura Mitokado also made excuses when examining candidates. Where are they? Luhan raised his head and asked. The 2 of the Uzumaki clan can be seen at any time. The Senju clan is in some trouble. They both have parents. I can't take them away for a long time without any reason. I have to make temporary preparations. Homura Mitokado said. Get ready now, I want to see them and inform Lord Kaharu of them. Luhan got up and said. After an hour. Inside the ninja school, in an idle classroom. Luhan, Kaharu Udatane, Homura Mitokado, Hyuga Huyang and others stood in the corridor outside the classroom, looking at the 4 children inside. The oldest is Senju Rasta, who is 8 years old and has a strange name. It is said that he has something to do with his mother. The second is Uzumaki Arena, who is 6 years old and is a very quiet-looking little girl. Senju Ryoza is 5 years old, sitting in a chair is not honest, and he looks very curious. The last Uzumaki Ang, only 2 years old, is curled up on the bench and sleeping soundly. Luhan and the others watched outside for a while, then pushed open the door and filed into the classroom. 8-year-old Senju Rasta immediately became serious and looked very serious. Uzumaki Arena and Senju Ryoza also followed suit, just looking around curiously. Uzumaki Ang was still sleeping. Do you know who I am? Luhan asked seriously. I know. Senju Rasta immediately replied loudly, a little excited, you are Lord Hangwang. Teacher Elena said that you are the most powerful ninja in Konoha, and you will definitely surpass the original Hokage Senju Hashirama in the future. Senju Rasta answered all the words. Uzumaki Arena and Senju Ryoza were stunned for a while and couldn't answer. Uzumaki Ang was woken up. A pair of round eyes looked around, then ignored it. Luhan waited for the top of Konoha, turned over, and fell asleep again. How much do you love to sleep? The 2-year-old little guy, naturally, no one would call him rude. Luhan walked up to Uzumaki Ang first, put his hand on Uzumaki Ang's small head, and the back of his hand lit up. Test it yourself. This check is in all aspects. How is the development? Are there any flaws? How are the meridians? Wait, there is the most important thing, that is body energy. These 4 children are either Senju or Uzumaki. Their physical energy naturally exceeds their peers. There is no difference. Luhan wants to choose the best. This kind of inspection requires strong perceptual ability to get some feedback. At present, the strongest person in Konoha is Luhan. His ability to detect the human body is not the strongest, but he is almost the same. He is the most authoritative in speaking and he should be Tsunade, because Tsunade is the strongest medical ninja in Konoha. Senju Rasta couldn't help but tilt his head to look over. He was very nervous, because Homura Mitokado found the reason for him to come here, that is, Lord Hangwang wants to choose a direct disciple. Checking Uzumaki Ang, Lu Hanyu walked up to Senju Rasta and motioned him to raise his hand, followed by Senju Liangza, and finally Uzumaki Arena. The first few are excellent, but compared to Uzumaki Kushina, they are too mediocre, until Uzumaki Arena. Luhan took her hand, and as soon as chakra reached in, he was shocked. What a powerful life energy! On the surface, Luhan remained calm. His expression did not change. He put down Uzumaki Arena's hand, and then said, "Let's go." Luhan took the people out of the classroom and left the ninja school. Someone will arrange a few children, and Luhan doesn't need to take care of them. How is it? On the way back to the Hokage building, Kaharu Udatane couldn't help but ask, which one is the most suitable? We can't wait any longer. In order to protect the seal, there are loopholes in the village's defenses. If we drag it on, there may be accidents. Go to the conference room. Luhan didn't say it directly. After a while, Konoha's third conference room. In addition to these people who went to the ninja school before, Inuzuka Lei, Uchiha Lei Young, and White Fang were also notified to come to the meeting. The best of them is a 6-year-old girl named Uzumaki Arena. Luhan glanced at everyone and said, "But there is a huge gap between them and Uzumaki Kushina, even the best one. If forcibly seal the tail beast on her, she might die." Luhan was alarming. In fact, Uzumaki Arena's body was big enough to hold 5 tails, but Luhan didn't plan to seal the tailed beast to others from the beginning. After Luhan finished speaking, everyone in the meeting looked at each other, but they didn't show any nervousness. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Isn't there Han Guang himself? Then, Kaharu Udatane thought about it. The 5 tails can only be sealed in the body of Lord Hangguang. Luhan was silent for a while, and then said, "No, suppressing the tailed beast will affect my chakra control. In the short term, the strength will be regressed. Moreover, the growth of human Jinchuriki column strength is a very long period of time. In the process, once you become a human Jinchuriki column force, you need to communicate with the tailed beast, you need to adapt to the tailed beast chakra, you need to keep practicing, and you need to combine the tailed beast to perform ninjutsu, and gradually combine your own power with the tailed beast. Greater power." Quote. "Isn't that bad?" Kaharu Udatane asked suspiciously. With the talent of Lord Hangguang, after becoming a human Jinchuriki column force, there must be divine help. After a period of precipitation, the strength will increase by leaps and bounds. "But I have a better choice," Luhan replied. "What?" Kaharu Udatane was taken aback. "QB 9 tails," Luhan said. "We not only have 5 tails, but also QB 9 tails. If I want to pursue greater power, QB 9 tails is more suitable for me, and once I put QB 9 tails is transferred into my body, and the 5 tails can be sealed into Uzumaki Kushina, making her the new 5-tailed Jinchuriki column force." Luhan has made no secret of it. He just wants QB 9 tails. Chapter 0759 _ That guy is fierce. QB 9 tails is Luhan's ultimate goal. People's desires are inflated. At the meeting that day, no one objected to Luhan's sealing of the 5 tails in his body, which made Luhan realize that he could already ask for something from this ninja village, even if it was this ninja village. The most precious thing. At the end of the conference room that day, Luhan decided to seal QB 9 tails in his body and 5 tails in Kushina's body. It's just that at the time, he couldn't say it directly. In fact, with Luhan's strength, he can do all this forcibly, but he can't guarantee that Kushina won't die. If the tailed beast is forcibly pulled out of the human Jinchuriki column force, the human Jinchuriki column force will die. If not because of Kushina, Luhan will not have so many scruples. He needs to get support. The meeting room fell into silence. When Luhan finished saying that he wanted QB 9 tails, everyone's expressions changed. They didn't expect Luhan to think this way. QB 9 tails is very special and different from other. The most special thing about the tailed beast, QB 9 tails, is that Uchiha Madara brought QB 9 tails to attack Konoha. QB 9 tails had caused damage to Konoha, so Konoha executives have always been cautious about the placement of QB 9 tails. Kaharu Udatane squinted at Luhan, and seemed to have seen through all the thoughts in Luhan's heart. See through nothing. Luhan didn't do anything wrong, and he wasn't an unstable person. Will he seize power with Kyubi, 9 tails? What else to take? Luhan is already the leader of Konoha, one of the most powerful people in the world. To put it another way, will he hurt Konoha by getting Kyubi, 9 tails? This is even more impossible. Only the true lunatic, the mentally abnormal, will have the idea of destroying the ninja village under his control. Luhan just wanted to become stronger. It's scary, Kaharu Udatane said with consideration. Kyubi, 9 tails, has been in Kushina's body for 4 years. If the seal is unsealed and taken out, there may be an accident. These are all small problems. Luhan immediately replied, the possibility of problems is very low. Originally, there is a certain danger in sealing the tailed beast in the human body, so why not do it? Luhan glanced at everyone present, and said slowly, I think my idea is the best arrangement. The 5 tails are not suitable for me. I don't want to waste my time on the 5 tails, but the tailed beast must summon Jinchuriki column force. Kushina is the most suitable. Seal Kyubi, 9 tails, into my body. Give her 5 tails, that's it. Luhan once again emphasized his own thoughts and attitudes, which were very firm. Luhan wanted to see, who else would oppose him, and why would he oppose him? Silent. Everyone present has their own thoughts and looks, and they are really not mentally prepared at all. After a while of silence. If Lord Hengguang insists. It was Kaharu Udatane who spoke again, I have no problem. Agreed, this arrangement is feasible. Homura Mitokado said. The big picture is set. These two guys don't object. Hyuga Huyang and Uchiha Leiyang have no reason to object at all, because the stronger Luhan becomes, the better for them. Hyuga Huyang is Hengguang's wife and Hyuga Luo Ning's uncle. Luhan owns Sharingan, which makes Uchiha Leiyang treat Luhan as his own. As for Inuzuka Tears, he doesn't have much say in the matter because he's not even a consultant. Luhan's proposal was officially approved at the meeting. After the meeting, the crowd dispersed. Kaharu Udatane went to contact the ninja who was responsible for unsealing and resealing the tailed beast, and Homura Mitokado went to arrange the venue for the tailed beast to transfer. In the square in the village, the huge sealing barrier is still maintained, and the 24 ninjas around the barrier all keep their hands raised, constantly injecting chakra into the sealing formation. Inside the barrier, the hill-like 5-tailed King Mew was crawling on the ground. He looked bored. It had given up and escaped. It had already been tried before, and the seal could not be broken at all. The square has been blocked, and ordinary people cannot come, but some people with high rank or special status can still come here, such as Kyubi, 9 tails, Jinchuriki, column force Uzumaki Kushina. Are you talking? Why are you ignoring me? Kushina stood outside the barrier and waved to the 5-tailed King Mew inside. Mew of Wu-Wei squinted at Kushina with a, you're so annoying, look. Didn't you tell me yesterday that we can chat? Kushina pouted. Mew Wong ignored her. She was very unhappy. Call. Luhan appeared out of thin air and stood beside Kushina. It ignored me. Kushina immediately grabbed Luhan's hand with one hand and jumped inside to complain with the other. The 5-tailed King Mew in the sealing barrier suddenly stood up, stepped back slightly, and looked at Luhan with vigilance. It's afraid of you, Kushina said. Yeah, Luhan responded with a nasal voice, looked at King Mew in the barrier, and asked with a smile, you seem to like it very much, it ignores you, why are you pestering it? It's beautiful. Kushina shook Luhan's hand, stared at King Mew, and looked like he liked it. It looks like a horse, how beautiful, not like the one in my body, everyone, who looks so good. Ugly and always grinning at me Kiba. Can you see Kyubi, 9 tails, in your body? Luhan asked in surprise. Okay. Kushina wrinkled her nose, that guy is fierce. Yeah, Luhan nodded. Kushina was so sure that she had seen Kyubi, 9 tails, with her own eyes. There should be a gap in the seal on her body. Otherwise, with Kushina's current state, she would not know how to communicate with Kyubi, 9 tails. Since you like it so much, then I'll seal it in your body, okay. Luhan pointed to the 5 tails, and said, "But you have to take the QB, 9 tails, from your body first." Kushina stared blankly at Lu Han, blinked and said, "Is this okay?" She was very aware of her mission as a QB, 9 tails, Jinchuriki, column force, so she asked this question. "Of course." Lu Han smiled. 2 days later. This morning, Lu Han took Kushina straight to the back mountain, where preparations were made. The first step was to transfer the QB, 9 tails, in Uzumaki Kushina's body to Lu Han's body. Chapter 0760 QB, 9 tails, Jinchuriki, column Li Hangguang. Transferring QB, 9 tails, is not complicated. Many older Konoha ninjas personally took action. They first used the safest way to unlock the seal on Uzumaki Kushina, and then pulled out QB, 9 tails, from Uzumaki Kushina's body directly. Break into Lu Han's body, and then apply a seal. Although the process is simple, it can be extremely difficult. Because the energy of QB, 9 tails, is too strong, a little carelessness during the transfer process may cause QB, 9 tails, to escape control. In order to prevent accidents, this time transfer QB, 9 tails, action, the top-ranked existences among the older generation powerhouses in Konoha village were all present. Although these old guys don't know the sealing technique, they have extremely strong strength and super rich combat experience. If there is an accident and QB, 9 tails, runs out of control, they can also temporarily resist for a while. If it wasn't for the transfer of QB, 9 tails, matters related to the Jinchuriki, column power of the QB, 9 tails, people needed to be kept secret, and they didn't need to be treated with such caution. It's a pity that not many people know about it. The mountain behind Konoha, in the dense forest, the enchantment has shrouded this forest. Kaharu Udatane stood on the edge of the barrier, looking at the middle of the barrier. Lu Han, Uzumaki Kushina, and 5 ninjas sealed by Grandmaster 8 trigrams. These 5 ninjas are old guys, but they do not have the name of the strong, they are the strongest. Just an elite Jonin. QB, 9 tails, has been taken out of Uzumaki Kushina's body. It is a ball of light, which is the chakra condensed into ultimate. 5 elderly ninjas started at the same time, pulling this light with magic, and throwing it at Lu Han's body. The tailed beast is actually a chakra life form. It can be controlled by a seal. It can be big or small. Once it appears, it is equivalent to breaking free from control. The terrifying chakra fluctuations rippled in the enchantment, causing people's heart palpitations. Go in. Seal. 4 elephant seals. QB, 9 tails, was punched into Lu Han's body, and Lu Han suddenly felt his body tighten, his chi and blood surged, and terrifying energy was making waves in his body, but he didn't need to suppress anything deliberately, because the seal didn't require him to do anything. There are many ways to seal tailed beasts, not to mention the other methods of sealing tailed beasts in Ninja Village. Let's just say Konoha, Lu Han knows two. One is the seal of the 4 elephants and the corpse seal, the other is the double seal. 4 seals. According to Lu Han's previous explanation, QB, 9 tails, was sealed on him, and he was going to use the double 4 image seal. Of the 5 elderly ninjas, 3 of them were in charge of suppressing QB, 9 tails, at the end, while the other 2 cast the seal of the 4 elephants respectively. QB, 9 tails, chakra fluctuations became more and more violent, and the seal was about to be completed. This was the moment when QB, 9 tails, resisted the most fiercely. The light centered on Lu Han's abdomen shone outward, extremely dazzling. Seal. Seal. The 2 elderly ninjas who were responsible for the next seal did their best to transform chakra and try to seal the seal as much as possible. At this moment, Lu Han, who is the receptor, feels very strange. He can feel the conflict of power. He is the most relaxed. QB, 9 tails' consciousness is already attacking him, but he seems to stay out of the way. Tails is far, far away. Sure enough, this kind of thing should use the power of Konoha. If I do it myself, I am afraid it will not be so simple. Lu Han noticed Uzumaki Kushina on the ground beside him. He had fallen asleep and was looked after by ninjas. His breathing was steady and his life was normal. Habitually opened the insight map and glanced. Huh. Luhan frowned suddenly. He saw a Yuhi name. 4 kilometers north, the big Yuhi name is White Zetsu. The ghost doesn't go away. Uchiha Madara knows that Kyubi, Nine Tails, has been transferred into my body. Will he take action? I have to admit, Luhan is a little worried. Because of the Moon Eye plan, every tailed beast will. It is very important for Uchiha Madara. If the human Jinchuriki column force is too strong, Uchiha Madara will definitely arrange checks and balances, right? I do not know how long it has been. The light dissipated, chakra fluctuated news, and everything was calm. Ended. Kyubi, Nine Tails, completed the transfer and was successfully sealed in Luhan's body. The 5 old ninjas who were in charge of transferring the control seal were all tired, their faces were sweaty, but they all smiled. There is nothing more gratifying than success, because there is a problem with this kind of thing, and the first to die is they. White Zetsu also disappeared from the insight map, whether he had sneaked underground or had left. Take a rest first. The matter of sealing the 5 tails will be carried out in the afternoon. Luhan said, and then he hugged the sleepy Uzumaki Kushina and disappeared. At noon, Kushina woke up and had a big appetite, and the wind and the clouds ate a lot. In the afternoon, the village square. The 5 tails in Kushina's body makes the process simpler and more relaxing. Because of Luhan used the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan to control the 5 tails, so the 5 tails could not resist, and could only be sent into Kushina's body to be sealed. Huge underground caves, huge braziers are still burning. The white-haired Sarutobi Hiruzen sat cross-legged on the ground, locked up for so long. He had long since given up cracking the seal on his feet, because he knew he couldn't do it. Recently, he has already spent most of his spare time on cultivation. Hengguang got Kyubi, 9 tails. White Zetsu walked out of the dark corner with the food box in his voice. What? Sarutobi Hiruzen was shocked, slapped the ground with one hand, his body suddenly jumped up. A flash, he came to White Zetsu, the futon wind-style chakra swirled under him, dragged him, the sealed double feet 10 centimeters from the ground. What did you say? Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at White Zetsu's eyes, his face gloomy, and a terrible breath pressed against White Zetsu. Henguu got Kyubi, 9 tails. Facing Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had not lost his combat power, White Zetsu was unafraid, took the food box to bypass Sarutobi Hiruzen, and walked towards the direction of the brazier. Now, Hengguang has become the new Kyubi. 9 tails person Jinchuriki column force, and the 5 tails were sealed to the previous generation Kyubi, 9 tails person Jinchuriki column force, Uzumaki Kushina, ha 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 ha. One step closer to completing the plan, ha ha ha. Quote. White Zetsu is playing tricks. He has been implying Sarutobi Hiruzen intentionally or unintentionally, making Sarutobi Hiruzen guess at random. Are you going to keep me locked up? Sarutobi Hiruzen floated back to the futon and sat down, asking in a deep voice.